Hello, everybody, on the KSAT 12 Weather Authority app and elsewhere on our streaming platforms. Thanks for joining us. Adam Caskey here with me in Montgomery. We're tracking this section of thunderstorms that's headed our way, and this little Boeing segment right here that we're keeping a close eye on. This is the severe part of the thunderstorm that's moving into Hondo as we speak. The strongest winds will be right on the leading edge of it, and there could be some gusts around 60 miles per hour on the leading edge of this storm. So the high winds hit, the heavy rain, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder with it. This is moving to the east at 25 miles per hour and closer to 30 miles per hour. So we'll draw this out and get you an estimated time of arrival. So ETA to Hondo, obviously momentarily, within a couple of minutes. Dunlay, 11:47. Castroville, 12:03. You'll get hit by this storm at Castroville, 12:03. Rio Medina at 12:04. Bandera, 12:06. Lake Hills, 12:07. Medina Valley High School at 12:12. So Medina Valley High School near Rio Medina there at 12:12. That's with this severe portion of the thunderstorm that's headed off to the northeast. Let's put it into motion, and you can watch this as it progresses over the past hour. The main line really fell apart quite a bit, but then this chunk farther to the southwest earlier came together and became more organized, and now it's trucking off to the northeast. It is going to clip parts of northwestern Bexar County and far western San Antonio. You are under the warned area, and it looks like you just get clipped by this. So let's say this southerly portion of the storm making it to Alamo Ranch at 12:31 a.m. That would be the southerly portion of the storm making it to Alamo Ranch, 12:31 a.m. That's when that would arrive. So that's the time of arrival for that thunderstorm, with the primary threat being wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Maybe some hail up to an inch in diameter as well. There could be a little bit of that. Otherwise, we've got some shower activity up in the hill country here. This is all just good garden variety, soaking rain in a very drought-stricken part of Texas. So it's good to see this here up in the hill country. Fredericksburg down toward Kerrville and Comfort, getting some good rain, lightning and thunder associated with that, of course, but nothing problematic at the moment, and no flash flood warnings yet, but that could change as we head through the night and into the weekend. Going back to this radar site here. Okay, this is a look at the severe thunderstorm. See how it's bowing out? As they do that, they bow out. That's when the strongest winds are placed right there on that bowing segment. So that's why we have that severe thunderstorm warning with this thunderstorm right here. And you look at it, and this red color, those are the winds that are headed away from the radar. So they're headed off to the northeast or headed toward Hondo, and those are the highest winds within the thunderstorm. Now we are looking a little higher up in that storm, probably 4,000 feet or so, but some of those winds get pushed downward, and there could be a quick gust of 60 miles per hour. So that's the leading edge of the wind within that thunderstorm, and that's one of the primary risks here. I mean, even if we look at the three-dimensional view, I don't think we'll see much in terms of very organized hail within this storm. Usually these Boeing storms don't really have that as much. It's not as organized like a big supercell for hail, but nonetheless, we can take a look and take a peek. And yeah, I'm really not seeing much there right now. Let's go back to this view. And you look at that 3D section of it. It's not as tall as some of our biggest thunderstorms that create the big hail. Not as tall, more of a wind threat, that's for sure, more of a wind threat, and not as much of a hail threat, though there could be little pockets of hail within it. I do think the high winds are what is the primary driving force with this severe thunderstorm that's now headed into Hondo. A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. It's going to be a loud one. Hondo, get ready for it. Medina Lake, we timed that out for you. Let's give you another time here. Let's say right there, making it to Medina Lake at 12:04 a.m. Medina Lake, 12:04 a.m. City of Bandera. I know you've already had some heavy rain and thunderstorms. You had some heavy rain and thunder. But this severe storm is going to make it at midnight, 12 a.m. You can expect this storm in Bandera. Shortly after midnight on the west side of San Antonio is when you can anticipate that severe storm to make it around the far west side of town. Now you look off to the southwest and there's more development. So sometimes we just see that one push and then we're done. Well, we have more development on the back side of this, and so more showers and thunderstorms, even once this initial batch moves through, are likely to redevelop as we get into the early morning hours tomorrow and just throughout the day tomorrow, and an active weather pattern we're in general. So that's going to be the driving force is an upper level disturbance that's moving in, and that's going to provide the lift to give us the showers and thunderstorms in the days ahead, intermittently so. But right now, one severe thunderstorm warning that includes far western Bexar County, and that's until 12:15 a.m. Midnight 15 is what that's valid till. And that includes the SeaWorld area. Does not include Helotes yet. It's basically Taft High School to SeaWorld, 1604, Highway 90, and then westward along Highway 90. Rio Medina, Lake Hills, Mico, Medina Lake, you know the drill. This is the storm that's headed your way. Let's actually check some of the threats here. Let's see what this says. It is showing some wind threats on the leading edge. Again, the worst wind will probably be right when it hits. Okay, right when it hits, along with then the heavy rain. But we are seeing, this is estimating some winds potentially just less than 70 miles per hour at that first part, that leading edge of the storm. Yeah, look at that. So there are some little pieces or little sections within there that could have those 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts right along the front end of it. Big wind hits, blows for a while, heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder with this. The backside of it, the backside of, let's say, the worst part of it. So Hondo, it's moving in right now. It's going to last a little while. The backside, that's going to make it through Hondo at 12:17. So Hondo, you got a little bit of time here. It looks like this one's going to last a little while in terms of how long you're going to have to deal with it. I'm going to do this one more time. So that backside moving through Hondo, yeah, shortly after midnight. I'd say 12:10. 12:10 is probably a better bet. But you're still going to have some lightning and thunder. I'm just saying the worst of it will probably last until 12:10 in Hondo. That's when the worst of it will last until. Divine, the worst of it's staying just to the north of you for now. But we have to watch this activity here near Crystal City and Carrizo Springs, where we have some flash flooding. We have to watch that thunderstorm, see what that does as it's right on the heels of this initial severe storm that we're watching. But right now, Divine, you're just on the edge of this thunderstorm. You're not included in the warning right now, but you're just on the edge of that threat. Far west side of San Antonio, yes, you are included, but right now we don't have it hitting you just yet. That's going to be closer to 12:15, 12:10 a.m., I should say. Let's see, let's put this right here. That'd make it to Leon Valley by 12:34. 12:34 would be Leon Valley. So when that would make it here, assuming it stays on its same course and forward speed. So that's the latest with this severe thunderstorm. Heading into Hondo, Castroville, you're next. Rio Medina, Medina Lake, Mico. I'm going to keep this zoomed in for you, and we'll keep our good radar popped up here on the screen for you. And we'll keep an eye on this storm, and we'll give you another update in a little bit. Hey, Adam Caskey and Mia Montgomery here again, and I just want to reiterate here and remind everybody, not all of Bexar County is in a severe thunderstorm warning. It's just a small western section of Bexar County within the severe thunderstorm warning. I know you got notification that Bexar County is in a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for the western portion of Bexar County that's within the severe thunderstorm warning. And this warning goes until 12:15 a.m. There we go. And when you look at this yellow polygon, that's the section of San Antonio and Bexar County that could be affected by this, or that will be affected by this severe thunderstorm, from Taft High School to SeaWorld to Stevens High School, Alamo Ranch area, all the way down to 1604 and Highway 90 interchange, and then locations westward. But the vast majority of San Antonio, not included in this severe thunderstorm warning, at least not yet. We're watching this and we're tracking it as it heads off to the east-northeast and makes its way closer to San Antonio shortly. Should it stay on this path and with its forward speed, it could make it to downtown by 1 a.m., roughly. The leading edge of it here near Hondo, that's where we have some of the highest winds with it. We could have some gusts up to 60 miles per hour and maybe even a little bit higher than that. But either way, strong winds along the leading edge of this bowing segment that's headed to the northeast. And of course, it's going to be loud, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. This is generally tracking to the northeast, but we have seen some building on the south end of that storm, and farther down you see more storms building down there. So bottom line is we'll have some scattered to widespread areas of showers and thunderstorms through the night and off and on through the day tomorrow. But right now, the threat is with this severe storm that's currently moving through Hondo. Hondo, you're getting the worst of it as we speak. You're getting the worst of it in Hondo with the high winds and potentially some hail within there. But the wind threat is the primary factor here. So Bernie, not included in the warning yet, but Bernie, it wouldn't surprise me if you get a severe thunderstorm warning once this progresses a little bit closer. If it stays at this strength, you'll probably be getting these warnings along I-10 from about, well, even Crossroads Medical Center, northwestward up I-10 through Leon Springs and even up into Bernie. That wouldn't surprise me. But right now the threat is right here in that polygon, that yellow polygon, until 12:15 a.m. Medina Lake, Bandera, Rio Medina, Hondo, Castroville, moving in, Alamo Ranch, it's about to move in. Time it out for you, give you an updated estimated time of arrival, updated ETA here, and draw that out. All right, Medina Lake, 11:59. Bandera High School at 12:01. Lake Hills, 12:03. Pipe Creek, 12:12. Medina Valley High School at 12:16. Okay, we'll give this to you one more time here. Bandera, midnight is the latest update. Bandera at midnight. Lake Hills, 12:01, just about the same time. Rio Medina at 12:02. We've got Bandera Falls at 12:06. Pipe Creek at 12:12, and Medina Valley High School at 12:16. As for, say, the far west side of San Antonio, the only part of Bexar County included within this severe thunderstorm warning, the only section here, this is it, the only section. So let's say Highway 90 and 1604 interchange, 12:32 a.m. Estimated time of arrival, 12:32 a.m. there. So that's when this thunderstorm, that severe storm, would be moving in. It's got some heavy rainfall with it as well. Very heavy rain. Let's take a look at the rainfall rates. And yeah, I'm going to switch back over. Let's do that. I'm going to switch back over. Here we go. All right, rainfall rates within this storm. Look at these numbers here. Look at the purple area. It's the heaviest rain. Moving through Hondo, D'Hanis, all communities in between and around in western Medina County. This right here, D'Hanis, 7.7 inches per hour. It's not going to rain a whole hour like that, but that could quickly give you a few inches of rain. At the rate that this is moving, you could easily get a few inches of rain out of that. Let's take a look at 12-hour rainfall so far. This is still going to add up. That's not very accurate because it just started raining. So let's go back to here and look at the history of the storms so far tonight, the history of rainfall. Yellow is 2 inches or more. You get into the reds, and that's 4 inches or more. Look at this west of Carrizo Springs, 6.7 inches. West of Crystal City, 5 inches. Crystal City, about 1.1. But you go west of La Pryor, 3.1. Not far, even northern side of Del Rio, 2.2 inches. And that's just from this initial push of showers and storms that we've had tonight. And remember, we're going to add to these totals as the night wears on, and especially as the weekend wears on. We're just in an active pattern where we'll have more periods of showers and storms coming and going. Yes, you'll be able to get outside and walk your dog in between. It's not going to be raining in your neighborhood continuously, but we will have these showers and storms coming and going. And there will be some pockets of heavy rainfall as well. There will be some heavy rain. But this is the primary one we're watching right now, heading through Hondo. And now, on its way toward Medina Lake, not far away. Bandera, you're starting to get some light rain, and obviously you can hear, the thunder off into the distance, see the lightning. Bandera, you have the rain, but the wind is just about to hit. Wind's just about to hit Bandera. Medina, it's going to be right on the leading edge of it when the wind hits. It's going to be the first part of the storm, and you'll get that wind. I'm going to go back to our threats with this. And yes, when you see these little red dots here, these are the algorithms within the computer. I'm going to change that. Come on. All right. 58, about 58, less than 58. We had some less than 70 pop up earlier anyway. Oh, it just updated. Wind is the primary threat within this thunderstorm that's now working its way toward Castroville and Mico and Lake Hills and Alamo Ranch. This is the one we're watching. But most of Bexar County not under a severe thunderstorm warning at the moment. I want to make that clear. Most of us are not, but look what we have off to the west that's headed our way. We have more showers, more storms developing. Even if you just get clipped by this one at your house, we've got more development down to the south that's going to be working its way up. And there's a lot of time for more activity to develop and move our way. And we do think plenty of it will be developing and moving our way as we get through the weekend and even later on tonight and in the early morning hours tomorrow. So that's the latest with this storm. I'm going to zoom it in right here, and I'm going to go over to the computer and shorten the lapse so we can keep this up for you. And if you're in these communities, you'll be able to see when its progression as it moves in. And then I'll be back in a couple minutes and give you another update here. Severe thunderstorm warning for the western portion of Bexar County right now. Most of Bexar County not under a warning at the moment. But you go to the far west side, Alamo Ranch, 1604, Highway 90, all the way up to Taft High School, SeaWorld included. You're under this warning because of this severe thunderstorm that's moving in from the west. It's actually moving to the northeast. So it's headed in a direction toward Medina Lake right now in Rio Medina. Hondo's seeing the worst of it. Castroville, you're going to be up next, and even Mico and Lake Hills, of course, up next with this. And we can put a timeline on this as the storm tracks to the northeast. And they've all been moving fairly steadily at a similar speed. We're going to track that out. And you can expect this. Lake Hills at 12:01 a.m., Rio Medina at 12:04, Pipe Creek at 12:10, Medina Valley High School at 12:15, and then Taft High School, so the far northwest side of town, would be 12:29 a.m., the arrival of this. Primary threat with this right now is straight line wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. There could be some large hail up to 1 inch in diameter, but when these storms start to bow out like this and they get that bow shape, usually it transitions just to a straight line wind situation, and so that's what we're tracking. The strongest winds would be pretty much along the leading edge of it once it arrives. I gave you those arrival times, and that's where the strongest winds would be. Now, Bernie, you are not under a severe thunderstorm warning at the moment, but nonetheless, this storm is headed your way, and you may be under a warning later. Bottom line is, warning or not, 12:42 a.m., that's going to be making it to Bernie. Okay, so Bernie, you can still at least expect this to hit you at 12:42 a.m. We're going to be tracking this live on our KSAT Weather Authority app. So you can catch us there, and we'll be back on air as necessary. hour lapse?
You can do it a half hour.
Okay.
Half hour is fine with me. All right, hello everybody. If you are still joining us here either on the KSAT Weather Authority app or our YouTube page, that is also where we are streaming this storm coverage here tonight. By the way, if you have any questions or anything about what we're tracking right now, feel free to go over to our KSAT 12 News YouTube page. We've got a little chat going. You can put your questions in the comments. We're checking that frequently here tonight as well, and we can answer absolutely any questions that you may have with all of that. So want to just take you on a little tour once again of what we're looking at. We only have one warning in place as of right now with all of this activity here moving through south central Texas, approaching the San Antonio area, at least parts of San Antonio. But this is the only severe thunderstorm warning that we currently have in place. And in terms of Bexar County, it only includes the far western portions of Bexar County right now. Really a lot of Medina County, that's where the worst of this particular severe thunderstorm warned storm is moving through. But again, here is the latest on that. This still runs from until 12:15 a.m. So we've got a bit longer, about 25 more minutes with this particular severe storm. But you see how it has this bowing segment right here? That is typically where we find the strongest and the highest wind gusts associated with storms that have this particular structure. So right along that leading edge, that's where we still could be finding some wind gusts upwards of 60 to maybe even 70 miles per hour at times. That leading edge has now moved through the Hondo area, but Hondo, you are still getting plenty of heavy rain right now, likely very noisy, a lot of lightning strikes just behind it. D'Hanis still dealing with some of that moderate rain, even Sabinal, Canipa, all the way down Highway 90 to Uvalde, dealing with the rain behind the leading edge of this particular cluster and segment of storms. Medina Lake, this is on your front doorstep. Rio Medina as well, Lake Hill, San Geronimo on the far edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. But as Adam was mentioning earlier, it is highly possible that we see this warning get extended downstream as this continues to move farther up to the east-northeast. So if you're just joining us here, what I'm going to do quickly and briefly is I'm going to put a storm track on this as it does track up that way, get you some estimated times of arrival here. So Medina Lake, again, talking about how it is on your front doorstep, it is going to be moving in momentarily. The leading edge is where we see those strongest and highest wind gusts. And then after that, yes, you will still see some gusty winds, and then you're just going to be dealing with some heavy rainfall and some noisy conditions with that lightning and thunder as well. Lake Hills around 11:55, so momentarily there as well. Castroville just after midnight. Medina Valley High School by about 12:10 to 12:15. And then Taft High School closer to 12:25 to 12:30. So we'll clear that off. Again, that is the only severe thunderstorm warning that we have in place right now. Does include the far western portions of Bexar County. For the rest of Bexar County, no active warnings in place, but we will need to see how this particular segment of this storm activity evolves as it does move farther up to the northeast. Comfort, you are not included in the warning right now. We'll see if that gets extended though in a little bit, issued downstream to see if you are included, but you are dealing with some scattered pockets of moderate to even heavy rain, especially kind of just along the I-10 corridor near Nelson City as well. Kerrville, nothing severe near you at the moment, but you do have a few scattered downpours in your neck of the woods. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch this over to the other radar sites. We have a couple of radar sites that we use to cover all of our viewing area. So I'm switching this over to the radar site that's located closer to Brackettville. And you can see that even behind the strongest part and the strongest cluster of storms that we have, south of Highway 90, moving through portions of Zavala County, even stretching down into Dimmitt County, this is non-severe here, but it is still some noisy storms moving through. We've got some heavy rain there just to the north of Crystal City that's just passed through the area right along Highway 83 there, near the Bee Crest colony there too. Bigwell seeing some scattered moderate to even heavy rain. Eagle Pass, non-severe, but good little thunderstorm there just to the north and east of Eagle Pass. So I'll put this in motion again so we can kind of check out the storm motion. Eagle Pass, you did get clipped by some of that activity there, moving in from the southwest and pushing farther up to the northeast. And look behind it, over the mountains of Mexico, even more development tonight. So that's the thing. We are in this active weather pattern. We've got disturbances that are rolling across the Lone Star State, right? We've got some additional upper level energy and support. And when you combine all of those things together, that's what helps keep the storm chances going. So as we head into this weekend, again, overnight tonight, some additional development behind this leading edge of storms here. It's now moving through Medina County. So the rain and storm chances will continue overnight tonight and through at least the first half of the day tomorrow. And then into the afternoon, more on a scattered basis. So by tomorrow afternoon and then into Mother's Day on Sunday, it's not going to be raining constantly, okay? Not constantly outside at your house, but passing scattered showers, intermittent rain and thunderstorms does look to be a pretty good bet at times this weekend. So overall, check the radar before heading out. And of course, keep right now your KSAT Weather Authority app handy at times because yes, the active pattern does continue over the next several days. And along with that, so we've been talking about tonight the main threats with stronger storms that are requiring some extra attention, much like what we are seeing with this severe thunderstorm moving through Medina County at the moment and even portions of Bandera County, is strong straight line wind gusts. Right now, upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible. Yes, we could find a little bit of hail embedded within some of these storms, but really the biggest threat is the strong winds. That's what we typically find with clusters of storms that we've seen in the setup tonight, but heavy rainfall too as well. So moving forward, because this isn't the only round of activity that we are expecting, moving forward, we are going to see additional rounds of rain float across the area over the next several days. So because of that, especially in areas that are picking up on the heavy rain tonight, you know the areas around you that are prone to flooding, right? Construction areas, low-lying areas, common trouble spots, poor drainage spots. That's where we could be finding some issues and what we're really going to need to monitor over the next several days, especially for folks that tap into some of those higher rainfall totals here tonight. So just be careful out there on the roadways this weekend, right? We just want to be extra careful out there, making sure that we are monitoring those road conditions as well. Remember, if you come across a roadway that has water on it, it is best to turn around and find an alternative route. So that is going to be a theme here, just with the additional rain and storm chances in the works throughout the weekend and even into Monday. That flash flooding risk is going to continue into the start of next week on Monday. So we're talking about the rain. What we can do really quickly is we can take a look at the rain rates. So to see how heavy some of this rain is at the moment. So north of Hondo here, where we see these purple and pink colors, that's where we are finding the heaviest rain embedded within these thunderstorms here, to the tune of 5 to even 7 inches per hour. Now remember, these storms are moving, so you're not going to pick up on 5 to 7 inches just with this particular thunderstorm, but a quick 1 to 2 inches certainly possible as it does track farther up to the northeast. And along with that, so this is a look at the rain rates. Why don't we take a look at the 12-hour rainfall totals? So how much rain we've already seen. And you know what? I'm actually going to switch radar sites so we can get a better view of the rain rates, or the 12-hour rainfall totals, where we've seen these storms already pass through. So you can see the bullseye so far has really been west of Carrizo Springs out there in Dimmitt County near 277, and then even far southeastern Eagle Pass there along and just south of the 277 corridor out there in Maverick County. Let's take a look. Radar is estimating upwards of 6.5 inches of rain have fallen there. You can see we do have this flood warning in place too, flash flood warning. So especially along 277, probably needing to take extra care, extra caution out there on the roads, even heading into tomorrow with the additional disturbances heading that way, because especially areas near creeks and streams, low-lying areas could be seeing some accumulation there as well. Could cause a few trouble spots out there. But again, if you are just joining us here on our KSAT Weather Authority app or on our YouTube channel, thank you so much. Again, this is what we're looking at. This is the big picture right now. We've just got one severe thunderstorm warning in place that runs through 12:15. It is possible, though, if the intensity keeps up on this storm, that we see another warning issued downstream of it. So that's why we're monitoring this pretty closely. The biggest threat with this particular storm is the strong winds. So Medina Lake, that is moving in right now. Where we're going to find the strongest winds, upwards of, yes, about 60 to 70 miles per hour embedded within the leading edge of that line. That is where the strongest part of that storm is. And then after the leading edge passes you by, for folks in Hondo, you're still dealing with that right now. Still some heavy rainfall. And yes, plenty of lightning, and it is probably pretty noisy out there as well. But for San Antonio right now, we're pretty quiet. Again, this particular warning does extend into the far western side of Bexar County for now, including SeaWorld, including Highway 90, the 1604 interchange there, Lacoste, Castroville. You are seeing the leading edge. Those strong wind gusts and heavy rain move through and move in right now. Whole Highway 90 corridor through Medina County right now, pretty much dealing with that heavy rain at the moment. And what we can also do is we can turn on our threats tool. And we could find some pockets of hail embedded within there as well. For the most part, though, if you've been tuning in for a while here this evening, the main concern has been those strong winds, but we have seen embedded pockets of hail for the most part, at least from what I've been looking at with the reports with the National Weather Service that have been coming in and things like that. It's generally been pocket change size, nickel to penny, but can't completely rule out a few hailstones, maybe up to the size of a quarter embedded where you see that purple there. So we'll keep eyes on that. But again, strong straight line winds, the biggest thing with the leading edge of that storm that now is, yes, moving right over Medina Lake, Lake Hills, Bandera, Pipe Creek. You've been dealing with some scattered rain and some rumbles of thunder ahead of the leading edge of this line, but that is moving into your area shortly. And for anyone that might be joining us, what we can do is we'll put another storm track here on this. Get you a time estimate as this moves farther up to the northeast. We'll do right about there. Okay, so like we were mentioning, Lake Hills, Bandera Falls, moving in pretty much right about now. The Medina Valley High School will be coming up on your area shortly there too. Taft High School by about 12:25 to 12:30 this morning. Comfort by about 12:30. Now remember, we were talking about this earlier. Comfort, you're not technically included in the warning right now, but you can see the leading edge of that storm is nearing the edge of the current severe thunderstorm warning. So if they're going to reissue it, we likely will know that pretty soon. Stevens High School by about 12:30 to 12:35. Gray Forest by about 12:35 to 12:40 here this morning as well. And something else that we can look at too is we can look at the lightning count. So we like to look at the lightning count frequently to see, it can often be an indicator on if a storm is weakening or if a storm is strengthening, just the intensity of it. Stronger storms can often produce more lightning. Weakening storms, sometimes the lightning count comes down just a little bit. So I'll zoom in on this particular storm and we'll throw up the lightning count. Check it out. About 412 total strikes in the past 30 minutes. 7 positive strikes. Those positive strikes are the ones that are really, really loud outside. The big boomers. The ones that you can hear there too.
Feel them.
You can feel them, yeah, shaking the walls of the house. Absolutely. So some positive lightning strikes associated with that. So it is noisy, that is for sure, as it moves through Medina County and Bandera County. Again, Bandera, you are seeing that right now. Medina, seeing the heavy rain, seeing the lightning too. And for us here in San Antonio, now that this storm is moving through far eastern Medina County now, western Bexar County in this warning, up next to see these storms move in.
And you know what's interesting too? I'm looking at the radar between Cotulla and Beeville. We're seeing new convective development.
Yeah, right here. Through McMullen County, stretching over to Live Oak County as well.
Exactly.
So let's put this into motion too. Good eye, Adam.
It's starting to fill in, it's starting to fill in southerly. I think that line is more starting to fill in and become more cohesive.
Exactly. So again, this is taking more of a northward track as well. So here's Three Rivers, George West. For the most part, this activity is west near Choke Canyon, Tilden out there in McMullen County. And this is non-severe, but you can see, just within this radar loop, this is the past 30 minutes. This activity has started to bubble up and blossom. So that's taking more of a northward track ahead of kind of this piece of energy that's moving overall this way. This activity is developing ahead of it and moving farther up to the north. So that being said, that is approaching already southern Atascosa County. So we'll see if this can blossom into even more activity. Regardless, for places like Charlotte, Pleasanton, Poteet, Jourdanton, if that continues to move farther up to the north as well, you likely could tap into some of that activity before all of this along and west of I-35 kind of congeals together. Good eye there, Adam.
Yeah, and the discrete cells out ahead of the main cluster, they typically are just going due north, but the whole cluster is pushing eastward. So they're going in all different directions out there. It can be a little confusing on the radar, but once they get together, then they start pushing eastward. So yes, when you're looking at the radar on your screen or on your Weather Authority app, it may be a little confusing.
Yeah, I got a lot of different storm motions to talk about depending on which activity you were looking at. But so, also, we don't like to deal with the severe weather part of it, right? But we do like the rain, as long as too much of it is not coming down too quickly, which, being aware of the roadways is going to be very important here over the next several days into and out of the upcoming Mother's Day weekend. But what I want to show really briefly is the drought monitor too, because where we are seeing these storms right now, I'm going to turn the lightning off so we can look at this a little bit better, and even the warnings. Where we are seeing this rain move through, especially in Medina County, this maroon color that you see that even stretches up to Bandera, the Hill Country, Kerrville, Bernie, Sisterdale, that is the highest level of drought that we have. That is exceptional. Category 4 out of 4 drought. And so the good news is that yes, we do have this rain moving over areas that definitely need it. So that is going to be drought denting, and in some spots, yes, potentially drought busting rain by the time all is said and done. And we see these rain chances settle down by the middle to later portions of next week just a bit. So that is the good news in terms of this needed rainfall that we are seeing.
And remember, the reason we're seeing all this is we got that really moist and unstable low-level flow coming off the Gulf of Mexico at the ground here.
It's been so humid over the past several days, right?
And then in the upper levels, we have this energy moving in from Mexico, and it's just going to be a repeated situation, developing more showers and storms, short-term and long-term over the next few days. And it looks like that one Boeing segment we're watching is starting to take a little bit of an easterly turn.
Which, we'll need to monitor shortly. Exactly. We'll need to monitor very shortly for folks here in San Antonio. So if you are tuning in here from the San Antonio area, just know that yes, we do have strong storms just off to our west. And you can see that is really approaching the Medina and Bexar County line here. So we've been talking about it for the past several days, right? We've been watching for the potential to find strong to severe storms move through parts of our area tonight. And that is exactly what we are finding. So throughout the day today, we've been talking about that midnight time frame too, and that is really verified as well for approaching the San Antonio area. So I'm going to put this into motion here again so we can kind of see the overall look of this severe storm. And hopefully we'll get something in from the National Weather Service too, saying what they're going to do with this particular one as well.
Let's do a cut into it.
Okay, perfect. And so I can do it. That's totally fine. So what we're going to do, if our directors in the back can hear us, we're going to do a quick little cut in. Y'all just let me know whenever you are ready, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Absolutely. Good early Saturday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Mia Montgomery here along with meteorologist Adam Caskey in the KSAT 12 Weather Center. Want to get you the latest here on this particular severe warned storm that has been making its way through Medina County and is now approaching the Medina and western Bexar County line. Now we still have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for the far western reaches of Bexar County here. This does include the SeaWorld area as well as the Highway 90 1604 interchange there, and includes Medina County as well. This particular severe thunderstorm warning in effect for a few more minutes, but we are expecting the potential for this to be reissued farther downstream. So that's why we wanted to go ahead and pop on and get you the latest with this particular storm. Still is packing a punch, especially for those in Medina County, Medina Lake, Castroville, Hondo. You have seen the leading edge and the strongest part of this severe warned storm move through. It's this leading edge right here. That's where we have the potential to find strong straight line wind gusts upwards of 60 to even 70 miles per hour at times. And behind that, after the leading edge passes you by, yes, you're probably still dealing with some gusty winds out there. Rio Medina, Medina Lake, same down Highway 90 out there in Medina County. You're also dealing with heavy rain and some noisy conditions. A lot of lightning and thunder has been associated with this storm as well. So what I want to do for you, while we don't have the new warning out, and we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do with this storm as well, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put a storm track on this for you. It is potentially taking more of an easterly component that we've been monitoring with this storm. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right about there, and let's time this out. So if this particular storm were to continue on this track and at this speed, Taft High School could be moving into your neck of the woods within the next 10 minutes. SeaWorld in between about 12:25 to 12:30. Bernie, while you are not under a warning right now, if this continues to move in your direction closer to 12:30 this morning, and Cross Mountain in between about 12:30 to 12:35. Again, straight line winds, strong straight line winds possible and expected, especially along the leading edge of the storm, and then heavy rainfall and maybe some embedded pockets of hail. The biggest threat, though, and the biggest concern with this storm is going to be that strong straight line wind concern. And of course, heavy rainfall associated with that as well. So we will need to monitor road conditions, especially in low-lying areas, construction areas, common trouble spots, not just tonight, but at times times throughout the upcoming weekend. And the reason being is because this is not the only rain and storm chance that we have in the forecast over the next several days. You can see as I switch this over to the other radar site that we have closer to the Bracketville and Del Rio area, we still have more development behind that. So over the next several days, we are going to be monitoring for additional rounds of rain and thunderstorms.
All right, and now we have the new severe thunderstorm warning for San Antonio. We're going to stay on here. We've got the new one for the rest of San Antonio and Bexar County. The new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1:15 a.m. Marty, if you don't mind switching the camera shot here from Mia's to my setting. Thank you so much, Marty and Claudia in the control room. Anyway, this new severe thunderstorm warning, that's on links too if you want to switch it over to one,
okay,
in case you're confused.
Awesome, thank you.
So the primary threat here is straight line winds of 60 miles per hour. There could be some hail, but the hail's probably just less than an inch in diameter. When these storms start to bow out like that and they get that bow shape, that's usually when it tends to turn into a straight line wind event. And that's what we're seeing right now with the potential of some gusts up to 60 miles per hour within this thunderstorm. And we just timed it out. Now it's taking a little bit more of an easterly track like Mia was talking about. So let's give this a new timing for the leading edge of it, which is where the strong winds will be. You'll notice those strong winds right when it hits. And okay, well, we're going to have to draw this out one more time, but the leading edge is where you'll really notice those winds, and then they'll persist for a bit along with the heavy rain, frequent lightning, frequent thunder as well. All right, Lacoste, 12:20 a.m. SeaWorld, 12:27. City of Atascosa, 12:30 a.m. We've got Gray Forest, 12:31. Brandeis High School at 12:34. Okay, those are the locations that'll be seeing it, a little quicker than locations farther away. But let's just say Schertz, for example. Schertz, that's still quite a ways away. It's just entering Bexar County, but Schertz, you can expect it at 1:17 a.m. So we can give you some of these ETAs for you. Hollywood Park, Chavano Park, same time, 12:54 a.m. Give you an estimate for the Stone Oak area. That's moving in. Stone Oak area, 12:50 a.m. What about Somerset? You're in Somerset, it's moving in. We're talking minutes away at 12:30, so less than about 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes. As for Elmendorf, you are within the warning. 1:15 a.m. is when you can expect that in Elmendorf. Now, sometimes we look at these and we talk about the big hail associated with it, and we get that three-dimensional view. That's not really what we're going to see much of with this bowing segment of the thunderstorm as it moves in. And we're also watching more development southward with this. Not just, of course, their main concern is this severe segment, but as we go through the night, we're seeing this cluster move northward, and this has been the trend, really, just off to the west in Mexico and along the Rio Grande. But this then congeals together, strengthens, and all moves eastward. So that's what we're going to be watching for Atascosa County in the coming 30 to 45 minutes and keeping an eye on that. But right now, most immediately, we have this severe thunderstorm bowing out, moving into San Antonio right now. Now, we did have wind gusts around Del Rio earlier this evening of 60 to 62 miles per hour. There were a few gusts out there from a different cluster of storms, a different bowing segment. But that shows you the potential of what our atmosphere is actually developing out there today. Right now, the leading edge, it's headed right into SeaWorld, moving right into Alamo Ranch. It's time to stay inside. Hail is not a concern with this right now. Don't worry about the hail. I know we often are very hail sensitive because we get a lot of it. But with this type of thunderstorm, yes, there's probably going to be some hail within it in a few spots, but not the big hail. We're mostly looking at a straight line wind event. So anything that's not secured outside, lawn furniture, trampolines, umbrellas outside, that are part of a table set. That's the kind of stuff that can easily get lofted, and then also other residual damage just from the straight line winds. So to give you an idea of the straight line winds we're talking about, putting just the base velocities on here, and this is the front part of the storm, the wind actually moving in towards SeaWorld right now. This Medina Lake having some of the higher winds as well. So the wind picks up right away, it persists, and then you'll be noticing some of these higher winds. That's that brighter blue color. And the location of the highest winds will change a little bit within that Boeing part, but bottom line, throughout all of Bexar County and San Antonio, we're within this warning because of those strong winds that are moving eastward. And one thing we look at here, well, the threats, it's been indicating, our algorithms have been indicating that, yeah, it's even the computer saying some wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, definitely possible within this. Not only that, we're going to have the heavy rainfall and the flash flooding risk as this moves through. Flash flooding risk, definitely, as this moves through, we could easily pick up a couple of inches of rain. Notice as I put it in motion, it's moving at a pretty good clip, but it's also dumping some pretty heavy rainfall. And I do think there's a little bit of hail on the south side moving through Devine, south side of this storm. Devine, you are included within this warning, along with Natalia. If I were to say if there's larger hail anywhere, it's probably on the southern end of this, near Devine and Natalia, and approaching Lytle as well. City of Atascosa, it's moving in as we speak. San Antonio, west side's getting it right now. Downtown, you still have a little bit of time. So let's say you are in downtown or Southtown, whatever. You're downtown San Antonio, 12:46 a.m. Okay, 12:46 a.m. That's when it's going to hit, and that's when you'll have the wind pick up, the heavy rain, and a lot of lightning and thunder, and the wind's going to be blowing throughout this event. But that's the first thing that hits you is the wind, and then the heavy rain follows thereafter. Good rainfall for Medina Lake, not enough to fill it, but good rainfall for Medina Lake. Unfortunately, it can come at a cost in the sense of, in this scenario, in the sense of straight line wind damage. So let's time this out for Bulverde. Bulverde, you are in the warned area. Bernie, it's moving in right now. Time to stay inside. Don't go outside and try to watch this. Just stay indoors and watch from a safe place. Bulverde, leading edge, 1:02 a.m. 1:02 a.m. Bulverde. That's when you can anticipate that first part of the storm to get to you. And once this storm progresses into Bexar County and surrounding areas, then I'll give you a timeline on the back edge of it. But notice behind it, we have a decent amount of rain that's falling. I'm going to switch radars to get a better look at that. Even still, persistent rain. So the worst part of this is right up front, and then we just have the good rain on the back side of it. This is the good rain on the back side of the thunderstorm, the severe storm. Behind it, at least we have some persistent rain, but then that threat changes over to a flash flood threat, so then you got to be extra careful on the roadways. Anyway, back to this severe thunderstorm, heading into San Antonio, moving into Bernie. Let's go up to Bernie. It could be little pockets of little hail here. Pipe Creek, you're in the thick of it. Bernie, it's about to hit right now. It's approaching I-10. This is the front line of it. I'm going southward. San Geronimo moving in. Gray Forest, get ready. Helotes, you're noticing it. You're going to notice it very soon if you don't notice it already. Leon Valley, you're just a few minutes away. Leon Valley, 12:32. So you're 10 minutes away, Leon Valley. 10 minutes away from it hitting Leon Valley. And then we also have, let's say, Castle Hills. Okay, Castle Hills. You are 12:40 a.m. for Castle Hills. Lackland Air Force Base, it's coming. It's not very far away. For Lackland, 12:35 a.m. I'd even say a little bit sooner than that, but those are some of the latest timings with this. I mentioned the flash flood risk. That's going to be, I do think, an issue going forward, if not with this storm, subsequent storms thereafter, because of the heavy rainfall. And I can get rid of some of this clutter so you don't see it all so much, so it's not so confusing. But these purples and the whites, those are the heaviest rainfall. That's the heaviest rainfall and what will give you some of the highest rainfall totals. And notice we're seeing rainfall rates between 6 and 7 inches per hour. Now, it's not going to last that long. This storm isn't going to rain on you like that for an hour, but a quick couple of inches, absolutely within the realm of possibility here, and then more behind this initial batch. Look at the 12-hour rainfall totals already where this storm has been. Yellow indicating 2 inches, so already dumped 2 inches farther off to the west. But what we're focusing on right now is the wind threat. Excuse me, the wind threat here in San Antonio. And the leading edge of it, wind gusts potentially up to 60 miles per hour. It's moving east at 30. So that's its forward speed, putting that into motion. And I'll turn the lightning back on, but I like to see this just to see the actual radar reflectivity and not the lightning that can clutter it up a bit. See the heaviest parts with the little purples. I expect those purples to maybe be dropping a little bit of relatively small hail. But this is moving in right now. Get ready. Time to stay inside, wait this out. And with this amount of lightning and even the wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, anticipate some power outages. Even if it's just a flickering of your power, we always see power outages whenever we have storms that are lit up like this. So I do anticipate there to be some outages. Not everybody's going to lose power, but between some wind gusts and the lightning, I do think it's going to be a bit of an issue for some folks as we get into the night. And then CPS is pretty good about getting it restored quickly, but just keep that in mind that there is the chance that you could lose power. Also, this is going to be loud as it moves in. So kids that are sleeping, get ready. You'll hear the little pitter patter of their feet, or just be ready for them to hop into bed with you, or be proactive and go into their room and just let them know this storm is moving in. Windy outside, it's going to be loud. The worst of it is right up front, and then it starts to get better. But the worst of it is right at the beginning and probably the first 15, 20 minutes of it. And then it starts to slowly get better, and then we just have that good soaking rain on the back side of it that's easier to fall asleep to. But the main concern now is this leading edge that's moving in currently. Right now, power outage, we can look at the totals, and there's nothing in San Antonio. No outages yet in San Antonio, but Medina County has about 1,000 customers without power. It just shows you the history of the lightning and the wind. Medina County, 1,000 customers without power. So far, so good here in Bexar County, but of course that is something that we watch as these systems move in because of the combination of wind and the lightning. And it is a lit up thunderstorm, actually. If you want to get specific with the lightning, just within the view here, within this thunderstorm, we're looking at over 400 strikes over the past 15 minutes. And some of these strikes actually jump out a little bit away from the thunderstorm periodically. So don't be surprised if you see a lightning bolt and it's not even raining yet where you are. That can happen as these storms have lightning that jumps out. We've seen a lot of that tonight farther off to the west of us. But either way, there's that lightning counter. And what we look for is sometimes trends in that. The lightning counts to increase or decrease, as that can give us an idea of what kind of cycle the storm is going through. Right now you have thunderstorms up around Canyon Lake, or I should say not Canyon Lake, Sisterdale and Candelia. Canyon Lake right here off to the east. Canyon Lake, you're not included in the warning. Smithson Valley, you're on the edge of the warning. But even though Canyon Lake, you're not in the warning, this storm is headed your way. So whether or not it's severe by the time it makes it to Canyon Lake, anticipate it to make it to Canyon Lake, and that would be by 1:18 a.m. Whatever's left of it, or even a strong storm by 1:18 a.m. But these thunderstorms out ahead of the main line are not really the severe thunderstorms throughout Kendall County, Sisterdale, Candelia, Bergheim, and north of Bergheim. The severe part is now crossing over I-10 from Comfort all the way down to Bernie, moving in. Leon Springs, you're just a few minutes away in Leon Springs, considering the storm is just 7.6 miles west of you right now. So you can see the light show off in the distance, of course. You probably see the flashes of light through your window and even hear some of the thunder and feel some of the thunder, but not yet. You still have a few minutes, Leon Springs. How many minutes, you ask? Let's look. 12:42 a.m. That's when you're expected to get it. 12:42 a.m. That's that initial front line of it. Medina Lake, you're still in the thick of it, but it's slowly going to get better for you in Medina Lake. SeaWorld, west side of town, Alamo Ranch, Taft High School. We got the Wild Horse subdivision. It's moving in. The heavy rain has started. Not a whole lot of lightning, at least cloud to ground lightning here in this area yet, but that's going to be changing. Either way, the heavy rain has moved in now. Military Drive in 1604. We got Rogers Road, Hunt Lane, Richland Hills Drive. It's all moving in right near Warren High School there. You know that neighborhood now. Something to keep in mind if you are traveling tomorrow or even Sunday, even Monday, along your typical route, whether it be to your stores, whatever errands you run or whatever activities you have going on. Any flood-prone area you really have to be careful of, because not just this batch of heavy rain is moving in, but more showers and storms will be developing even later tonight and off and on through the weekend. So the flash flooding will be a risk. I want to look at the south end of this storm. Well, we just got a new scan here, and you can see the leading edge of the wind right about here. There we have it. In that Boeing segment, it's where it juts out a little bit, is usually where it's a little bit stronger. And now that we got that new one, I want to look at it. Still some higher winds, looks like here near Medina Lake, and then approaching Leon Springs. This whole section could have wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour within the thunderstorm. This is the wind detector is very different than the precipitation in terms of the colors that you see on the screen. And this doesn't represent the wind at the ground. It represents the wind higher up in the storm. But just to give you an idea, an estimate from the radar here, a measurement, I should say, from the radar here is about 70 mile per hour winds. Now that's a few thousand feet high in the sky, but those winds can be translated down to the ground as well, which is why we have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So this is what I'm looking at when I look at the wind detector. It's really the motion of the hydrometeors, the raindrops within the thunderstorm, toward and away from the radar. That's the Doppler effect, movement toward or away from the radar, and it can detect that motion. It can't detect motion perpendicular to the radar. Won't see it. It'll see it as zero. It's got to be toward or away from the radar, and then it detects it. So we're not seeing any rotation here. That's good. But we're seeing the straight line winds, which can sometimes be more problematic than even some of the smaller tornadoes. So either way, we've got the strong winds moving in. Let's time it out for wind crest. Wind crest, you still have a few minutes before it hits, but wind crest, 12:58 a.m. I'd say 12:55. I'd say 12:55. A little bit earlier for wind crest. China Grove, now that it's moving pretty much due east, 1 a.m. for China Grove. What about Hollywood Park? You're not far away. It's moving in pretty much right now. That is 12:48. So within, we'll say about 15 minutes or so with Hollywood Park is when you can expect that. A lot of heavy rain. I'm not seeing a whole lot of hail. There is some hail within this storm, and we can check this one section here moving into Bernie. You've got the high winds and you've got the heavy rainfall that has begun in Bernie. You could also see a little pocket of hail there. And so far, the estimated hail size is about 3/4 of an inch, which is not considered severe or damaging. That's more like the size of a penny or so. I'm going to redraw this. Come on. All right, get a bigger view here, and we can take a look at that. And we like to fly into these storms to see what kind of, first of all, how high they are, the echo tops. You look at the echo tops, and how high the thunderstorms are can also be an indication of its hail potential. The higher they are, usually the more hail they can produce, or the bigger the hail they could even produce. Sometimes it's quantity, sometimes it's size over quantity. It varies. Anyway, we look inside these storms this way, and you see me do this a lot with the bigger, say, supercells that are out there, and we get these big areas of purple and black, indicating higher returns to the radar. The radar's seeing a bigger signature, which would indicate hail. Right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of that. We're seeing some hail suspended. Look at that. That hail is suspended up in the thunderstorm still. Remember, hail cycles up and down within the storm. and several times usually before it gets too heavy for the updraft to support it, and then it falls out. But this is still suspended up in the storm, so that's what we're looking at here when we see that little bit of purple. But again, this is probably not considered severe size hail. Oh, now it's starting to drop hail a little bit. Just west of Nelson City and I-10, it's dropping the hail, and this hail is near Busby Road, west of I-10 along Busby Road. This is now the hail that we saw suspended starting to fall out. So we'll see what kind of reports we get. There's the off chance you could have a few hailstones of an inch in diameter, but the primary concern with these storms in terms of damage or anything is the straight line wind gusts. Nonetheless, it's always worth looking at these storms in a way to see what kind of hail there could be and where. Oh, and there's some more hail that's suspended within the thunderstorm. I'm going to get back to our north-south orientation here. So if you're just tuning in, here's San Antonio right down here where it says KSAT 12. You see UTSA on the far northwest side of town. We were just looking at the hail that's not far from Bernie. Some of it suspended up into the storm, some of it now falling along Busby Road, that is. And this part is all suspended up in, but could very quickly drop some of that hail on San Geronimo and along Bandera Road from San Geronimo to Gray Forest. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to the actual radar and reflectivity. Here we go. And the traditional look that you're used to. Here we are. This is our traditional look. So leading edge, front line of the storm, the front part, a lot of wind associated with it right away.
And a lot of people, Adam, I'm just looking in at the chat in our YouTube stream chat as well, in the Leon Valley area, Alamo Ranch area, because these strong winds are moving through, some power flashes have been.
They're getting power flashes, huh?
The little flickering of the lights.
Yep. And with the lightning and wind, we're just going to have some outages. We know it. CPS knows it. That's why they're always prepared. They've got their crews ready to go, and they get on out there and fix it up. All right, now we're doing the front line of the storm and when that's going to make it. Moving east. Come on. There we go. All right. Lackland 1237. UTSA, it's basically moving in, well, obviously right now, 1237 UTSA. It's hitting basically now. Dominion 1239, Clark High School 1241, Kennedy High School at 1241. We're looking at Lee High School at 1244. So you still have a little bit of time there. And I'm gonna go in and filter out some of this stuff so we can look at some areas that are farther downstream. But nonetheless, there's that front part of the storm. Leading edge, Helotes, you're getting it. Lightning's moving in as well. Leon Valley, west side, wind has picked up. It's now about to hit I-10. So Medical Center, Balcones Heights, Crossroads, you're up next for this to hit in moments. It's moments away. It's going to hit. And keep in mind, we're not under the threat of tornadoes right now. This is straight line winds that could cause some damage in spots because this storm has a potential of making these winds up to 60 miles per hour. And we have a history of storms tonight making wind that's 60 miles, actually up to 64 miles per hour earlier. And then down to the south, more development headed northward into Atascosa County. So Atascosa County, most of you not in the warning. We're saying the majority, Poteet and southward, definitely not in the warning. However, this storm cluster is coming together, moving northward and combining with this, and that's probably going to become a more organized system as it heads east. Now on the backside of all this, more development, but generally garden variety, not severe. The worst is going to be up front. So anybody who's scared of the storms, wants them to pass, kids, if you're spooked, scared, you got your fur babies that are spooked, dogs, cats, just know the worst is up front and then it gets better. There'll still be lightning and thunder on the backside of it, but the worst part is the beginning of it and probably the first 20 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes of the storm is about the worst of it. So That's this. I'm going to walk over to the computer really quickly. I got to filter out a few communities here.
And while you do that, I've got some reports in of some wind gusts out there as well. So on the northwest side of San Antonio, Whitetail and the Silvertip area, we've got a wind gust reported of about 42 miles per hour. And then a storm chaser, or a storm spotter, I should say, out in Hondo is also reporting a strong wind gust upwards of about 55 miles per hour. So as Adam was mentioning, the leading edge of this storm that is, yes, moving through western Bexar County as we speak, approaching 410 as we speak on the west side of San Antonio. That's where the highest and strongest wind gusts have been noted, and which again is one of the main concerns here, why we have this severe thunderstorm warning in place. And then behind that, yes, it is still noisy. We've got a lot of lightning. A lot of folks here in our YouTube chatter chiming in and saying that the lightning show is just very impressive out there. Stay inside. But yes, the leading edge of this storm is where you're going to find the strongest wind gusts, the highest wind gusts, and then after that, things start to settle down. Still some gusty winds, and it is still plenty noisy out there. You'll just be dealing with some heavy rainfall there too.
Yeah, heavy rain still on the backside of it, but that's the kind of rain that's easier to fall asleep to.
Very true. Very true.
Yes, but the threat for any damage is up front here, right here on the beginning, on the front side of the storm in the first 20 minutes or so is when you'll feel that. All right, there we go. I got that set. And now we're coming back. All right, if you're just checking in, we've got the severe thunderstorm warning. If the storms are waking you up, we're here for you and live on our KSAT Weather Authority app, covering it live there and just on our streaming platforms. But we also love to go live to our KSAT Weather Authority app. And if you lose power, you have our app. We're live on there covering it as well. We're going to get you through this storm, get it past our area, and then on the backside, the main concern is for some just flash flooding in the days ahead, even later on tonight and early tomorrow morning. So we were talking about the potential for hail earlier. Looks like we have a little bit here. We were talking San Geronimo to Gray Forest, headed toward Leon Springs. Doesn't look like the big, intimidating, huge damaging hail that we've had storms past. This is more run-of-the-mill. Nonetheless, this front part is now hitting I-35. And let's just do the top section of this storm, okay? Let's just do the top section. So those of you that haven't gotten hit yet can expect this storm. Let's get that to 30. Okay, so we're saying Bulverde at 1:04 a.m., Smithson Valley High School at 1:17, Smithson Valley Middle School at 1:19, Canyon Lake at 1:31 a.m., New Braunfels High School at 1:40. That's on the west side of town. Downtown New Braunfels, 1:42 a.m. That's the north side of the storm. Now let's move our way southward a little bit. It's hitting the rim. It's hitting UTSA. It looks like parts of the far north side, some of the neighborhoods there, Stone Oak, Camp Bullis. It's about to move in. Get ready. It's getting loud. You're going to notice the wind. You'll hear it outside. If things aren't secured outside, it's too late. Time to stay indoors. Anyway, let's do this middle section of the thunderstorm, and especially the front end of it, the leading edge. And I'm splitting it up into sections so we get more cities to pop up for you, more places downstream. Okay, Jefferson High School now. We got Castle Hills at 12:47 a.m. We've got Southtown at 12:49. That's soon, obviously. Convention Center at 12:50. But say you are in Schertz. What about Schertz? What about Selma? What about Live Oak? I'll tell you what, I'm going to take you right here to Rolling Oaks Mall. 1:12 a.m. That's going to hit Rolling Oaks Mall. 1:12 a.m. New Braunfels, you're not in the warned area right now, but this thunderstorm is trucking eastward. It's moving eastward. You see that motion? Moving west to east at the moment. So anticipate whatever's left of it, whatever form it's going to be in, severe or not, it's still going to make it to New Braunfels. And I would expect the front edge of it to hit the west side of New Braunfels there. We're talking about 1:41 a.m. Hitting New Braunfels. Seguin, you're downstream as well. You'll get hit by this, Seguin, some way, shape, or form. You're going to be getting some heavy rain, lightning, and thunder from it. But the concern now is for the high wind threat within this thunderstorm that's moving in, and even some pockets of smaller hail. We're tracking other sections of it. Let's keep going. All right. And Lone Star Brewery, 1249, and Bracken Ridge High School, okay, at 1250. Yeah, that's basically momentarily. We're seeing that. But what about China Grove? Let's get to China Grove. See that Boeing section, get to China Grove at 1:04 a.m. So China Grove, 1:04. Okay? You got 20 minutes, not even. China Grove, expect that at 1:04. This severe thunderstorm, switching back to the wind detectors so we can get a different vantage point of the storm. Looks like some of the highest winds so far right now are moving into the Bernie area and approaching Leon Springs as well. Some of the highest, that is. Some of the highest wind gusts could be in that area, so it's time to stay indoors, and you're gonna have to give this some time before it really finishes moving through. And let's see the backside of that high wind for you, Bernie. The backside of it is 10 miles away still, all right, 10 miles away. So that's still about 15, 20 minutes you got there in Bernie to endure some of this, the worst part of this storm in Bernie. Still got good 15, 20 minutes, more like 20 minutes for Bernie. Okay, and back to home. All right, I'm gonna have to reset the hand tracker here, Mia. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go back to the computer here for a second.
Okay, while you do that, just seeing some folks checking in all around the San Antonio area, reporting what they are seeing out there. Alamo Ranch area, lots of lightning, heavy rainfall. Folks out in Converse seeing some lightning there as well as the leading edge starts to move through or really approach the Converse area, moving through central Bexar County right now. And yep, getting noisy outside, pouring rain, lightning, windy there in Lacoste. So yes, again, the biggest concern and the biggest threat with this particular storm is the strong straight line winds, which is what the warning is in place for. Again, that is moving into Bexar County, and then the heavy rainfall, the lightning, folks saying their dogs are waking up as well. Yep, it's gonna be pretty noisy as it moves through.
Yeah, very noisy and very windy, and it looks like it'll last for about 15, 20 minutes, that worst part of the storm. I'd say, let's just say 20 minutes, the worst part of the storm. And right now, we do think some of the highest winds within it, I'm not undercutting what's going on here on the south side. You still have the potential for those 60-mile-per-hour gusts that are approaching Palo Alto College and Somerset, and soon thereafter, the Missions and downtown San Antonio. But it does look like some of the highest winds within this are farther on the north side of it here, moving through Bernie, moving toward Bergheim, Fair Oaks Ranch, Silver Hills, the high winds moving in as we speak. And then that also means you, Bulverde, you're not far away from those higher gusts, and that leading gust is only 6 miles away from Bernie, or Bulverde, that is. Bulverde, you're about to get it. Smithson Valley, not that far away from the high wind. Let's see, Smithson Valley, you are 1:11 a.m. from that initial gust. So 1:11 a.m., that initial wind is going to hit you, and then it picks up a little bit there on the backside. We just got this new scan in, and we're even seeing some of these higher gusts stretching down toward Gray Forest that are then going to be hitting the rim area, La Cantera, and then around 1604 north side of town. We've got the ETA here for some of the, I know the leading edge is moving in right now, but then some of the higher gusts within it that could be pushed down to the ground. Stone Oak at 1 a.m. So momentarily, that's all moving in. But you see how I get farther to the south, and we don't have those really bright colors as much down here. Still the potential for the 60-mile-per-hour gusts, but it seems like some of our higher gusts are off to the north as of now. That can obviously change pretty quickly, which is why I like to flip around this data and constantly look at different information and different data. But it's loud out there. It's loud for sure. We're going to get you through it. What about the backside of the storm? Now, this storm, and really quickly I'm going to change radar sites just to get a better view because our beam is going through a ton of heavy rain right now, and sometimes that can contaminate what we're seeing behind it. But you look behind it and there's still plenty of rain that's behind this storm. So a lot of rain, some of it with lightning and thunder. So it doesn't mean this is all over with after this storm, but the severe threat is really, for the most part, along this thunderstorm that's moving in right now. So the back edge of this thunderstorm, I'm going to draw this out roughly like this for the worst part of it. And the back edge, SeaWorld by 118. So SeaWorld, you're going to have that back edge by 118. Even sooner, Bernie, 1:10 a.m. So Bernie, you still have a good 20 minutes till that really back edge moves through. Now the highest winds are happening right now. Then the heavy rainfall will start to taper off in Bernie by 1:12. We're talking Brandeis High School, that back edge where the rain starts to taper off a little bit and the winds aren't as high at 122. Again, that's the backside of it. I know we often track the front and leading edge of the storm, which is very important as well. But right there, we were tracking when it would end for certain areas. See the lightning flare up here near Somerset. That's where we also detected a little bit of hail earlier. What about you in Elmendorf? Elmendorf, 1:20 a.m. Okay, Lavernia, you'll get whatever's left of it, whether it be severe or not, by 1:34 a.m. And I know Lavernia, you have a few little poppers down there, a few little pop-ups, but that's not severe. That's just the activity that's developing in advance of the main cluster, which is now doing what we were talking about earlier, starting to come together here in Atascosa County. These storms moving northward into Atascosa, not severe yet, but once they combine with this southern portion of the line, within this area, that's where we could actually have maybe some stronger storms starting to come together and organizing. And that's been the trend through the night. We get one little cluster and then more feeds in on the south side, and then that strengthens. What we have over us here in San Antonio originated south of a severe thunderstorm that was in Del Rio, but this originated near Eagle Pass and locations in Crystal City even, and now it's trucking up here into San Antonio and headed our way. So that's what we have with our severe thunderstorm warning. That's until 1:15 a.m. This is moving eastward. It's moving through San Antonio. The front line of it is hitting downtown right now. We don't hear it outside yet. It's not quite here where we're located, downtown San Antonio, but that front edge, that's moving into UTSA, Chavano Park, about to hit Hill Country Village. And I'm just showing you the rain. Usually we show you these reflectivity factors, and that's fine. The heavy rain is moving through. This is all moving from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. Okay, it's all moving from left to right. Medical Center now as well. Some of this is not as organized on the south end, which also says something about the winds being not as high on the south end as they are on the north end of the storm, but still potentially strong and damaging. But anyway, that heavy rain is kind of broken up a bit farther to the south side of San Antonio and Southtown, moving into downtown area right now. But I'm going to switch it over because I like to see, what about the wind? Where's that wind? Well, the wind is just starting to pick up here. Downtown Alamo Heights, you're just starting to get the first push of wind. Hollywood Park, Chavano Park, you're getting it as well. Bulverde, it's moments away, the initial push, but we've got some of the higher gusts here as well, located within that thunderstorm. And that's indicated by these brighter colors here. These brighter colors. Now it's higher up in the thunderstorm, but nonetheless, those can get pushed down to the ground, and then that's what can be problematic. So when you see these really bright, almost pastel greens on our wind detector, that can usually translate into the potential for the higher wind gusts here at the ground. And that's why I'm switching this over. In this situation, we all know heavy rain's coming, right? It's going to happen. You're going to have the heavy rain. You're going to have it momentarily. If you don't have it now, you're going to have it. But what about the wind? So we're tracking those winds. Sometimes I check in with this, and our threats, the algorithm, it's not showing what I would expect in terms of the potential for wind right now, but this changes very frequently, so we'll check back in with it. It's showing a little bit of a hail threat right along and east of I-10, and that's the portion of the thunderstorm that we were talking about earlier, but I don't think that's going to be the damaging hail, probably penny size, so you'll hear it, it'll be loud, but it's not the big whopping hail that we've seen around here and that we are so accustomed to, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm going to line out the view, give it a little play here. Here it is. In a second, I'm going to check out our any power outages. Right now, this is moving right into 281. The wind is moving right up to 281. You can see the little gust front. Look at this gust front here on the front part of the thunderstorm. Before it even rains, you get the wind. You're going to get that. And that's what then leads to, you get the wind, the heavy rain, and it's no surprise that this goes right along that green edge. Wind, the heavy rain, then the lightning and thunder, and you'll be getting that for a while. Good 20 minutes for the meat of this storm, a good 20 minutes, which is going to dump a lot of rain as well. Anyway, I want to check power outages first, showing you the radar one more time here. Then I'm going to put it to our power outage totals. Already starting to see a few here in Bexar County. It's not a surprise. We haven't checked in with CPS, but this tool is actually pretty accurate, and it encompasses all of Bexar County. So far, 100 customers without power. That's not so bad, but this storm just began. We still have Medina County with 800 customers without power. Uvalde County, we've got 300 customers without power. Power outages do stretch westward all the way to Del Rio. This is where we have our storm reports from earlier today. Wind estimated to be 70 miles per hour from a downed and uprooted tree. That's 12 miles south of Comstock in Val Verde County. So it shows you what our atmosphere is capable of. We have a lot of instability and a lot of energy that's been built up in our atmosphere today. And these storms are moving into an area where we haven't realized that energy yet, right? It's got the potential, hasn't turned into the kinetic yet, if you will. But that's what this thunderstorm can do. It can tap into that available energy in our atmosphere and put it to use, is basically what it's doing. But once this moves through, it's going to do what we call work over the atmosphere a little bit. So that'll help us in terms of reducing the threat of severe storms beyond this one. Still some rumbles of thunder, yes. Heavy rain, yes. But the threatening and damaging storms, that threat significantly diminishes behind this thunderstorm. That's why one reason we're saying the worst is right now with this storm, opposed to now and then later and then later. Now, usually it's right up front with this, work over the atmosphere a bit, and then it's just more garden variety stuff. Our severe thunderstorm watch lasts until 2 a.m. There's a reason for that time frame through 2 a.m. There's that development on the south side. Mia, do we have any other updates over there?
Not a ton from the National Weather Service. They are just chiming in and saying that with the activity that's forming over Atascosa County, how you were talking about those storms that had blossomed and are morphing into this cell that's moving through San Antonio, we will need to watch the coastal plains as this propagates eastward here early this morning, because the coastal plains have been able to cash in on some good rainfall totals over the past week or so, especially with last weekend's storms. So soils could be saturated in spots that way. And, you know, yes, with this severe thunderstorm warning, we've been talking about and really honing in on the straight line wind threat. But the heavy rainfall potential, not even potential, the heavy rainfall that is happening right now, as Adam was saying, this is not the only round of rain that we are expecting over the next several days. And especially by tomorrow afternoon and into Mother's Day, it's not going to be raining constantly every second of each day, but with intermittent passing showers and storms. Again, we are not finished with the rain chances. So with that being said, we will need to monitor for some instances of flash flooding, and especially in areas that are prone to flooding. The routes that you take, the areas around your neighborhoods and things of that nature. So low-lying spots, poor drainage areas, construction zones, just areas that typically find water buildup whenever we do have strong storms and pockets of heavy rainfall. Just know, out and about over the next several days, in the back of your mind, be extra careful. So National Weather Service just saying that yes, in the coastal plains area where we have some saturated soils, a flash flooding, instance cannot be ruled out or two as all of this moves eastward.
Yeah, that's where we've had most of the rain. And of course, with flash flooding, it comes with the rain that you've had days prior to it.
Exactly.
That's actually a part of our area that has not even had drought yet. All right, I really want to quickly show this on KSAT Connect. Where's that, Mia?
So this is near Timber Hill in the Grissom area. Tree limb down from a wind gust. So after the worst part of this storm passes, and of course we need to be careful because we've got lightning out there. Wait for the worst part of this storm to move through before you try to go out and take pictures and things of that nature. But after the severe threat diminishes, we would love to see rain gauges, what you've been able to pick up around San Antonio, around South Central Texas. Adam pulled up the trans guide here. This is I-35 at St. Mary's. Now we can monitor road conditions around town. Thankfully, this is not a major travel time, right? Not seeing a lot of folks out there on the roads, but it is a good tool that we can look at to monitor conditions around town.
Yes, okay, there we have it. Now this should work again. And we'll get some new times out there for you. Estimated time of arrival as this moves in. Quick gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and even a few gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Definitely possible. Now, if you're in New Braunfels, Green area, you're getting a few little pop-up downpours, and that's even right along I-35. That's not even east side of Canyon Lake. That's totally separate from what we have going on here. This part of the storm that's pushing out, moving eastward. This is the severe portion that stretches from, well, here right now. This severe portion stretches from Candelia all the way down to Timberwood Park, Bulverde, it's moving in, and now down into downtown San Antonio as well. See right near the International Airport, 35 and I-10. That's the front part of it, and then it bends backwards a bit, bends westward a little bit into Somerset. Divine, Natalia, heavy rainfall right now, but you don't have anything to worry about in terms of the high wind. So it's still lit up and it's loud and you have heavy rain, Castroville, Rio Medina, Medina Lake, but at least, yeah, and we can put some TransGuide up too while we're talking about this, and especially if it's flipping through the TransGuide, that's always the best. I know we have I-35 at St. Mary's, but if we go press one of those buttons over there, it'll start rotating through. Okay, Claudia's got it.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you, Claudia. Now, lower levels, we'll have to be careful because at lower levels of our interstates and our highways around here, our roadways, sometimes the drainage can get clogged up with debris, and that can easily and quickly flood some of the lower levels. Even just the heavy rain in a short amount of time. And notice how the rain is blowing. There, well, you can't see. Notice how it's sweeping across the roadway there. That's a testament to the wind. 281 in Hildebrand, it's not far from KSAT, that's near the zoo. And there you can see the wind-blown rain. 281 and 410, harder to see there, even with the headlights coming through. Either way, 281 and 410, that's just getting the front part of the storm, the initial push of the storm. 281 and 410.
And plenty of lightning out there on the TransGuide too.
Yeah, a lot of lightning. It's a light show. 277 strikes here within the past 15 minutes. And I believe 37 at Houston, yeah, not showing a whole lot yet. That's still just around the start of it with a little bit of light rain. I bet our power outages are starting to rise a little bit. I'm going to get rid of this. Our power outages should be going up. I'm going to check that here in just one moment. Let me go over to the computer.
Yeah, I did pull up the CPS outage map for you, Adam. And as of right now, they are reporting, go figure, on the west side where these strong winds have moved through. There's about 2,400 customers without power, really localized to the west side there, where the straight line winds and the leading edge of this storm has also moved through. I will say as well, National Weather Service, they are also monitoring the activity in Atascosa County. So if anybody is tuning in from Atascosa County, Pleasanton, Poteet, it is just off to your west and it is approaching your area right now. We do not have a warning out for your area, but they are saying that yes, some gusts upwards of about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So closing in on that criteria are certainly possible, as well as the heavy rainfall. And yes, plenty of lightning there. That all approaching I-37 and Highway 281 right now.
Yeah, that's all closing in Atascosa County, and as it comes together, wouldn't surprise me if it becomes strong enough to be a severe thunderstorm warning. There's that potential, but we're just following this line northward now. It's headed into San Antonio. Now, if you're in Helotes, you still have the heavy rain, a lot of lightning, but some of the worst wind should be over with. Alamo Ranch area, you're starting to get on the back side of this around SeaWorld. It's still heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning and some gusty winds, but you don't have as long anymore. It's starting to slowly come to a close. And then Bernie, remember we were talking about earlier till about what, 110, I think we were saying 108? Well, that's a few minutes away, and the worst of it is now just about through the Bernie area. And
we did get a viewer report in Bernie, just lots of rain, thunder, lightning, and occasional light hail. But they're saying that, yeah, the worst part has kind of moved out and conditions are improving that way.
Which means then coming down the line, you've got Smithson Valley. That's headed in 120. It's going to be in Smithson Valley. Moving into Bulverde right now, you're feeling it. Let's see, Bracken, 124. Is when this is going to arrive. Okay, we've got a lot of lightning on those TransGuide cameras.
Yep, and we're looking at a city cam as well. Our directors out there in the back have been monitoring all of our feeds, saying that yes, the light show is definitely here. Very, very bright outside, noisy out there, especially across the western half of Bexar County. So yes, a lot of lightning. Wouldn't be surprised if the dogs are waking up, the kids are waking up, things like that, just because, yeah, this thing is noisy.
All right, here's another storm track for you for this northern portion of this storm. And we're looking at Universal City at 122. Randolph Air Force Base, Converse, 123. Canyon Lake at 129, probably a little sooner than that. Marion at 141 in Marion. Doesn't mean it's going to still be severe when it gets to Marion, but 141 is when we'd be expecting that in Marion. Okay, looking at our power outages, we're going to get an update. That's why I came over here in the first place. And let's see. About 1,000 customers without power, according to this.
Okay.
I just looked at the latest from CPS, and it's a little bit higher than that. Closer to 4,000 without customers, according to CPS. So anyway, as this moves in, you'll get the flickering of lights probably in many areas.
And I'm looking at some of our reporting stations that we have, positioned around the San Antonio area. SA International gusting upwards of about 40 miles per hour as these storms approach.
And those are the confirmed gusts with it,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Confirmed gusts, ground truth. So as Adam was mentioning, we have the estimated winds that we can look at in the radar, and that is sampling a little bit higher because, of course, the radar beam is shooting up into the atmosphere, but those strong winds can mix down to the surface, which is why we have that warning in place. But it's always good to see, yeah, exactly, ground truth. We appreciate everybody's reports. And of course, I do just want to quickly remind everybody, we are also streaming on our KSAT Weather Authority app and on our YouTube page. If you have any questions, if you have any reports that you would like to chime in with, you can drop those in the chat with this YouTube stream that we have going right now. We are monitoring that, trying to answer as many questions as possible. And yes, we really appreciate everybody's reports as we get through this strong wind threat here, Adam.
All right, so this is our thunderstorm. This is the severe part. We're watching this come together in Atascosa County. Wouldn't surprise me as this comes together and then catches on with that eastern motion if it affects and becomes stronger to severe. Let's give it a timeline. When is this going to make it to Floresville, Mia? What do you think about that? When's it going to make it to Floresville? Time that out, and you're looking at 2 a.m. Floresville. So Floresville, just under an hour, and you should be seeing that. Kennedy a little bit later at 2:26. Elmendorf a little closer to 1:45, and then Seguin, whatever's left of it or whatever shape it's in, a little before 2 a.m. 1:58 a.m. is when that would make it to Seguin, because that eastern motion, turning off the lightning, allows us to see just the radar reflectivity, and we're not detecting as much hail. We had the viewer report, Bernie, just some small hail. Those are those purples I was showing you, suspended up in the storm and then even fallen down in some areas, but really not expecting the large hail within this storm. Just the garden variety hail, not a big deal, and then the potential for those isolated gusts, especially in some of the more unfortunate neighborhoods in this scenario that could get a 60-mile-per-hour gust with this thunderstorm. And here's the new track for you. Give you an idea of when it's going to hit your neighborhood. All right, there we have it. Stone Oak right now. Wind crest 1:15 a.m., so just within a couple of minutes. Kirby 117, Southside High School at 1:20. Wagner High School, same time at 1:20, and then thereafter making it to locations outside the warned area. But bottom line, these storms are coming together, and whether or not you have this severe weather, we still have more development on the backside of these storms, even out in Mexico. More development, because that's where the driving force is out in Mexico in terms of the energy that's helping to kickstart these thunderstorms and the energy that's available, the available energy in the atmosphere, turning them strong to severe here around San Antonio. And earlier today, along the Rio Grande and some western communities, rain is coming down hard. This is loud rain, very loud rain, about 5 inches per hour in many areas, especially these purples up and down I-10 on the far north side of town and along 410 on the far west side of town. Now, it's not going to rain for a whole hour. If it did, you would get 5 to 6 inches of rain, but you could easily get a quick 2 inches of rain out of this. And just look at these rainfall rates down to the south. And now remember, this cluster is headed toward Wilson and Karnes counties, where we've had a good amount of rainfall over the past week or so. In turn, more saturated soil, and actually not even in a drought down here around Falls City and Karnes City, contrary to us in San Antonio and those of you in the hill country. Look, we don't even have the drought here. So more soil in the ground, and in some cases some saturated soil, add to it some heavy rainfall, and we're really where we think we'll see some of the first flash flooding of our area would be in here. Makes sense. The non-drought stricken part, the area that's not dry, that could see some of the quickest flash flood warnings and impacts from that. Okay, let's go back to the radar, and let's actually switch it over to let's switch it over to the base velocity too. We can check that out. So this is that wind that's moving eastward. That's that eastward wind, and some of the higher wind gusts are kind of on the north side of it and even not far from Leon Valley. And this is sampling up higher in the sky, but we've seen a little trend for the better, if you will, a trend for the better as this moves toward Bulverde. Still a strong storm. It could have some gusts up to 60 miles per hour, but we've seen a little better trend, maybe slight weakening in one section of this storm, this severe storm that's trucking eastward. It's loud, it's hitting Well, it's a little too far away for us, but anyway, you're getting the winds down there too. Not as high, but that's still coming together down in Atascosa County. So this severe thunderstorm warning lasts until 1:15, correct? 1:15?
1:15.
All right, and kind of questions are we getting from folks right now?
Yep, so at SeaWorld, getting some reports, raining, lightning, windy, thunder. Med Center, some folks are checking in, the same thing. They're actually saying now wind, rain, lightning, and thunder already starting to decrease, that downward trend. So Adam was talking about this. Yeah, we've got the leading edge. It's moving through Central Bexar County as we speak. And yes, some gusty winds, some heavy rain, lightning, that is all going to be with you for a little while. But after we see that move away from you, deal with the heavy rain, deal with some gusty winds for about 15 to 20 minutes, then you start to see some conditions improve just a little bit. So we are seeing that in our reports as well. Thank you guys so much for putting in those reports in our chat too. And yeah, I'm just looking at, we've got the TransGuide cameras up, we've got CityCam as well, and it is bright out there with all of the lightning. And remember, we're not finished with the rain and storm chances. So Adam was also talking about the additional development that we've got off to our southwest. We're already seeing some scattered showers and storms over the mountains of Mexico. So sometimes, a couple weeks ago, we had a one and done kind of storm chance. We are not finished with the storm chances. Additional disturbances could keep the rain and storms going overnight and even throughout the first half of the day tomorrow. That is certainly possible. So this weekend, definitely be careful out there on the roadways. Definitely keep your rain gear handy. But by tomorrow afternoon, or I guess this afternoon, good morning, it is Saturday, later this afternoon and into Sunday, intermittent rain is going to be the theme. Okay, so yes, we will find some breaks out there, but overall, it's just going to be a good weekend to take it easy if you're traveling and things like that.
So I was just, checking some stuff, and we're talking about how we've seen a turn for the better,
yes,
meaning a little bit of a weakening within this storm. This warning will be allowed to expire at 1:15, so that's good. Weather Service is letting it expire, and then just watching out for a few higher gusts, maybe even 50 miles per hour. New Braunfels, San Marcos, Elmendorf, Floresville, Sutherland Springs as well as this moves eastward. But I think the focus now too will be not just monitoring what's left of this section of the line, but particularly watching what's going on in Atascosa County as this comes together and then moves eastward. So we're going to transition this into our broadcast on our KSAT Weather Authority app. We're going to be live there. We're going to stay here for a little bit longer just to get you through this. But look, the warning has been dropped for San Antonio. That's good. So conditions are improving around San Antonio. Take comfort in knowing that. It's still loud, a lot of heavy rainfall. It's moving toward 410 on the east side. So I-35 and 410 near Rolling Oaks Mall there and the big IKEA. So that's just moving in. This is going to be loud, but so far now that it's weakened a bit, not necessarily as strong and not severe criteria. Remember, severe criteria is those 58 mile per hour gusts or higher and or hail 1 inch diameter or bigger. Right now, there are no indications of either of those factors. That's the good news with this. So we're going to be transitioning just to our KSAT Weather Authority app here momentarily. We'll continue our coverage on there. I just want you to know, Mia, if you don't mind zooming in really quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, just zooming in so we can see some Bexar County. Look at that front edge of it. Notice how it's a little scraggly. It's not as clearly defined as it was when it first moved in. It's just kind of jagged. Well, that's another indication, another sign that it's breaking up a little bit and those winds aren't as organized and as strong. When they're not as organized, they're not coming together and pushing together. They're just scattered around and not as strong. So it's obviously moving in right now, Alamo Heights, and then Mission San Jose at 1:21 is when that would hit. We're not done with the rain tonight. I know the severe thunderstorm has weakened to subsevere, but we're not done with the rain. There's going to be more rain, lightning and thunder. If your kids are spooked by that, have them hop in your bed because there's going to be more of it. Again, not necessarily severe, but you may hear more you will hear more cracks of thunder, see some strokes of lightning as we go through the night and then off and on through this weekend as well. We're going to carry on the KSAT Weather Authority app. We will see you there. Thank you for joining us on air. Howdy, everybody watching on the KSAT Weather Authority app. Just know nothing severe right now. I've got the radar playing for you. I am going to warn you that I'm going into our technology here, into the editing software to edit things a little bit. So it may look funny for a little while, okay? I know we like to see this radar view. I do too, but unfortunately we have to do some housekeeping as well. And that means that your view of this really good high resolution radar may be disrupted for a little bit, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, heaviest rain right now moving through Stone Oak. Otherwise, that's that purple up here, that purple moving into Stone Oak. Otherwise, still some very heavy rainfall downtown, heart of San Antonio here, and moving through the south side as well, and it's moving into the east side. That's where the action is. Nothing severe. It's loud, but nothing to be worried about. Expect a little bit of hail around Poteet, either at the moment or momentarily. But you see our warnings are done with for now. What we're going to watch for going forward is this area right in here for the potential of maybe some strengthening. Okay, so I'm going to go in and tweak this a little bit, update it, and we'll be back. Okie dokie. Good news. No severe storms right now. Bad news. They're at night, waking people up, waking you up, waking up the kids, waking up the pets. That's the downside. Other good news. Much needed rain moving in. What other kind of good news do we have, Mia? Let's keep giving good news. What do you have? Anything over there? How much? What about what? Was it Maico or Medina Lake an inch already?
Yes, an inch and it was still pouring.
An inch and it's still pouring. That's good.
That is good news.
Now the lake's at only 5% capacity, so unfortunately that's not enough to really make a difference, but we'll take what we can get. Okay, here's our non-severe, I love being able to say that, non-severe thunderstorm line that's moving eastward. You're in the thick of it right now throughout San Antonio. Let's start up around Canyon Lake. Wimberley, Fisher, Canyon Lake, heavy rain moving in. Some lightning and thunder, not as much as earlier with this storm, and the winds are not as strong as earlier either. Maybe some gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, but that's not as problematic as they were earlier today. Then you get farther to the south into San Antonio. Oh, here's a new warning. There we have the new warning, and this is for this section of the storm we were talking about earlier that's coming together that we were watching in Atascosa County. So that's where we have this severe weather. This section of the storm right now, a severe thunderstorm warning. It doesn't go very far east, and that's until 2:30 a.m. Wow, that's a long warning. That's an hour, and that's probably for what's coming in from down here. Let's look at this over the past hour come together, and you see the development of this. See how you get these storms feeding in from the south to north, along with the main complex coming in from west to east. Now they're coming together, and that's given us the severe thunderstorm warning. So we have a new warning out there.
There we go. Okay, getting my microphone back on. So yes, this warning in from the National Weather Service is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And maybe the reason why it's not extended so far east, they've got the storm motion on it, a little more of a northward component.
I see. Yeah.
But yes, this is going to run through 2:30 a.m. here.
All right, I'm just adjusting some of our parameters here. Yeah, northward within it, but then it should start propagating east.
Yep, as this kind of collides with the other activity we've seen moving through San Antonio, it should take more of an easterly track, which is the theme that we've been seeing all evening.
Totally. So I'm going to stick with what, it's got that northerly push within it, but then should start tracking easterly.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Marty, Claudia, if you don't mind, we can just do a quick cut in and tell people we're on our app and whatnot. All right, cool. Anyway, this is the part that we were watching, looking at an hour ago, saying, okay, we got to watch Atascosa County as that comes together and congeals a little bit. And that's what we're seeing. And so this is the severe part of the storm. And they extended it pretty far to the north as well, because this stronger part that developed on the south end is now moving northward. So moving northward, the whole thing is propagating eastward, and at least should have that general trend, which is why it first came in from the west, moved eastward as it met the storms from the south. But this is severe. Now, that's what I was going to check. Let's take a look at some velocities, some velos here. And that's where we have the strongest winds, or where it came together, right over northern Atascosa County. And this is moving northward into San Antonio as the whole complex propagates eastward. So that's kind of what's confusing here. We've got a northward, yep. Howdy, Adam Caskey here with Mia Montgomery. We're tracking the new severe thunderstorm warning for this section of the storm that just really flared up. And this is the part we were on air talking about earlier when we're saying got to watch Atascosa County for the development and the combining of these storms, and that's given us some of our highest winds, even a little bit of small hail, but we could easily have some winds up to 60 miles per hour. So I'm going to put this into motion first, get all this other crud off the screen, and you'll see that within this storm, you've got a south to north motion within the storm, but the entire section is propagating eastward, if that makes sense to you. So one of the strong parts of the storm is actually moving from the south to the north, from Poteet into southern Bexar County. And I know you are under the warning here on the north side. That's just for this to be moving your way. It's an odd motion within this storm, the way we see it right now. And the velocities, taking a look at the velos here, you see the really bright green. Those are some of the higher wind speeds that are pushing northward within this storm. So check this out over the past half hour. You see these winds popping up, that bright blue? Those are the radar detects motion toward and away from the radar. So say I'm the radar. It detects the motion coming toward it and away from it, but not perpendicular to it. That's as good as zero. So what it's detecting here are the highest winds that are this bright color, and that not even a green but a blue, that are heading toward the radar. And notice the motion of them is heading actually northward on into Bexar County. So although the complex as a whole is moving eastward, the strong part within this storm is moving northward. Okay, so that's headed into the south side of San Antonio right now. La Jolla, Somerset, Mitchell Lake, Palo Alto College, San Jose, etc. That's where the highest winds have come together from the storms that have combined and are now pushing northward. Here's a look at some of the samples. We can sample the velocities. And we're looking, this is probably about 2,000, 2,500 feet high in the sky. Either way, we're looking up a few thousand feet above the ground. That's what the winds are, because the radar beam doesn't measure right near the ground. Because the earth is curved, the beam goes straight off, and then over time gets higher and higher and higher above the ground. And so that's why we're looking high up, because the radar is in New Braunfels. So we're looking a few thousand feet high in the sky. But those 70 mile per hour winds that are actually measured, remotely measured by the Doppler radar, those can get pushed down to the ground at any time. And this cluster of high winds, or this push of high winds, is now crossing over 1604 on the south side of San Antonio, and it's headed northward. Now it's headed northward probably at a higher speed than what the storm motion is eastward, but as it moves northward, this section moves northward within the storm, the whole section itself will be sliding off to the east ever so gradually. And even some higher wind gusts here right along 410 Palo Alto College area, approaching Harlandale High School. So that's what we have. And I know we don't always show you this screen, but I wanted to explain it to you so you know what's going on, you know what's happening and what we're looking at. So earlier we were on and we had the north end of the storm really fizzled out in terms of the wind threat. But the south side of the storm picked up the slack and has strengthened and has now blossomed into the severe storm with potential gusts up to 60 miles per hour, maybe some hail, but that's not the primary threat. And notice how this is really now getting a little more of a defined line to it, whereas farther up north where it's not severe, notice how it's more jagged. You see the yellows that are kind of jagged here, that jagged edge. Yeah, not as organized, not as put together, not as necessarily powerful as what we have here in San Antonio and farther to the south. It's moving from Atascosa County through 1604 on the south side and now northward up. It's going to be heading toward downtown from the south. Turn off the lighting. Let's go 3D, looking at any kind of hail threat, which there really hasn't been much of lately, but sometimes we can see it suspended up in the sky and up in the thunderstorm, up in the clouds. So I'm going to move us through it a little bit, okay? Move us through there. You look for the what we look for here are those purples and even whites, sometimes the black for the big ones. But these aren't the big supercell thunderstorms that we get that give us our biggest hail. So although we have some hail here, it's not what we're used to seeing in terms of the large, massive hail that can be more problematic. So for example, this purple, that's the hail suspended up in the clouds right now. So most of it's up into the clouds, but it shouldn't take too long for some of it to then fall down to the ground, which I think is what we're seeing here near Highland Park. There's a little bit of hail, so that's going to make it extra loud. But again, this hail could be up to 1 inch in diameter, but for the most part, probably closer to about penny size opposed to quarter size for the hail. So anyway, that's a look at where the potential hail could be. But again, this isn't a big hail maker. This is a wind storm, and that's what we're watching for with our velocities in here. This is that big wind section that's headed northward. Hopefully it weakens a little bit. Looks like it may have just a smidge, but that's all headed northward there. That's the wind section of the storm. There it is. So drifting basically northeastward, excuse me, because of the eastward propagation of the big storm, but within it, you've got this section that's headed northward. So it's more so headed off to the northeasterly direction for those higher winds. Do we have any updates from over there, Mia, that you're getting in from folks?
So I'm getting some reports in on the north side, picked up 1.5 inches in about 30 minutes pretty quickly. And also I was checking the airport, 0.65 right now. So along with that, yes, we're talking about the wind threat here. It is noisy, lightning, but also, yes, very, very heavy rain. And you're likely hearing that on the roof and all that as well.
It's loud. And for a little while there, we didn't have a severe threat. But now that the southern edge of this storm decided to organize a bit more, unfortunately, that gives us the strong wind threat here, especially downtown and southward. Now, when you look at this, you just see a bunch of rain and tilt it up and you see a bunch of lightning, these little white whiskers, I like to call them, white whiskers. That's a bunch of lightning. And of course, it's loud. You get the lightning, you get lightning and thunder, and that causes power outages. But what can cause the damage, of course, within this is the wind. And so I like to switch it over to the velocities and give you a different look. We call it the wind detector. It's really the the velocities. And this section right here from Lemming to 410 on the south side, that's where we have the strongest winds, and that's getting carried off to the northeast. So areas down the line from this that'll be seeing it are China Grove, probably around 2 a.m., China Grove, and even thereafter, Kirby, 208, Windcrest at 218 is when we would expect that. So I know this isn't the traditional view of radar that you're used to looking at, but this is an important view to look at in this situation because rain isn't the big threat, it's the wind. So that's why I'm having this screen up for you. And fellow weather nerds, I know you'll probably like this and appreciate seeing this. It's picked up a little bit again. Look at this. Between Espy and La Soya, we've got we're sampling some winds here of 70 miles per hour, a few thousand feet high into the thunderstorm. And those can get pushed downward and then affect, of course, cause some damage on the ground. So that's what's headed your way. La Soya moving in right now. Elmendorf, looks like you'll get clipped by this as well. Calaveras Lake getting clipped by this. That's a severe gust. Now, hopefully this doesn't last too long. The warning is all the way until 2:30 a.m. because of the odd motion to this off to the northeast, and even China Grove, you're not far away from it China Grove, that's, if you haven't seen it already, it's about to move in. But anyway, that's all headed off to the north and east within this polygon, this yellow polygon that indicates the severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect. And that does include downtown. It does include Alamo Heights. It does include Terrell Hills, because you could also get hit by that gust of wind. So that's why you're included within the warned area. But when we're looking at this in this situation, we're not looking at how the green and red orient. That's when you have rotation. You look at them when they're sandwiched together and then what kind of spin that's making. In this situation, you just look at where are these high winds and which way are they blowing. And that's what we're seeing right now within this thunderstorm. Still no storm reports around town. Got a report out of Hondo from probably earlier.
Yeah, I think that was the 55-mile-per-hour wind gust that they had reported in Hondo.
Yep, there you go, 55-mile-per-hour gust. Got that. All right, so that's what we have with this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 2:30. Thanks, Doug, for bringing in the water. I appreciate that. And lit up. It's lit up. It's coming together. It's organized on the south side. Again, you look at traditional radar, and it's not giving you what you need to know in terms of the threat with this storm. It just looks like a lot of heavy rain. That's why we're switching it around for you and giving you those velos, the velocity, to show you where the strongest winds are. And that's just where the strongest winds are, not where necessarily severe criteria, 58-mile-per-hour winds, just where the strongest ones are. This is ongoing, and then behind it, we're going to have some more activity periodically off and on, and then the potential for flash flooding into the weekend. See, we're still having some development off to the back, but a little bit of a dry area. After this initial push, there's still some storms out there, but I do think we'll see a little bit of a break, and you'll get a chance to go back to bed and sleep peacefully. But right now, we've got this part of the storm that just flared up again, redeveloped, and decided to come together over Atascosa County and become strong. And now here's the strongest part of the storm. If these little white whiskers bother you, I can turn them off, okay? There, now we can just look at the velocity. And this yellow, a lot of lines on the screen. I'm sorry, I try to reduce how many lines are on the screen because it can get just so distracting to your eye. So I'm gonna even turn off the warning so we don't have that. And now we're just looking at the meat and potatoes here. No broccoli, no spinach off to the side, none of that. Just the meat and potatoes. And that's this gust that's headed right into Elmendorf and Calaveras Lake. And then St. Hedwig as well. Clipping Kirby, clipping downtown as we speak, and even headed toward Alamo Heights. So this is a broad gust of wind, a broad area of wind gusts, I should say, a broad area of wind gusts of potentially 60 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit higher. So it's important for us to look at that vantage point opposed to just the traditional radar like this, which makes it look like heavy rain. Sometimes in these situations, you get these little notches and you have to watch out for those in terms of something more developing, but we're not seeing any rotation signatures right now. Nothing that would be alarming, at least, within this severe thunderstorm. So that's the batch of wind. Look at it this way. Very different than, and actually I'm going to circle it for you, okay? So here's some of the highest gusts within the storm. Let's do this right here. That's why we love our wind detector. Okay, there it is. Now we switch it back over to reflectivity. It all looks the same. It looks the same here as it does farther to the north. Wind threat, not a hail threat. Wind threat. When we're talking hail threats, we show you this, the reflectivity. When we're talking wind, we do switch it over and in turn show you some of the velocities there because that's the sampling of the wind. We all know there's the heavy rainfall, but we have to have the sampling of the wind. Now I can give this a storm track, just this section. What do you say, Mia? Something like that?
Yep, that's what I, yes, yeah.
Let's get a little aggressive with it, okay? How's that? All right, so that part of the storm that has some of the highest winds, it's not just going to hit these areas per se, but this is the path that we have this on right now. China Grove at 204, East Central High School 206, Houston High School 206, Kirby at 211, Converse at 219, Randolph Air Force Base 222, same thing. Schertz 225, Steele High School at 230, and don't forget Clements High School at 226, and Marion High School 234. That's the timing of some of the strongest parts of the wind there that are headed off to the north and east. So again, wind detector, very important. Sorry, my contacts get dry at night like this. You guys have that problem ever, right? Thank you. Appreciate the water there. Anyway, this is the severe thunderstorm. Hopefully we'll see a trend downward, but we're not seeing it trend downward yet. Actually, we've seen it pick up a little bit. This has been a unique pattern that we have with the type of forcing we have and the storm motions and how they've been coming together. So for example, later on tonight, one area I think we need to watch is also here in Wilson County, as areas of Wilson County that oh, thanks. Got some Opti-Free for me there, Spivey. That's good.
TransGuide's lighting up.
Yeah, TransGuide's lighting up.
Yeah, live cam and all that was looking pretty good.
Let's do a little double box of the TransGuide if we can there, Claudia and Marty. And cycle through some of it. Lighten up, I know. A lot of you are hoping, when can I go back to bed? Well, don't worry, it's going to come to an end. Eventually, the back edge of this whole storm that's been shifting around on us is now moving into far western Bexar County. So the lightning is now really up and down 281 and basically within 410 and within 1604. But the back edge of this storm, it's taking its time right now. But you check this out, and some of the heaviest rain, the heavy rain is going to be done with Gray Forest at 208. Gray Forest, you're almost done with the heaviest rain. SeaWorld 208. Yeah, that looks like a stalled card there because it's, by the way, Spivey said the lower levels of 35 are already closed downtown. It looks like a stalled vehicle, and then the rain just blowing sideways. That's I-10 and 37, so that's downtown. See it blown in sheets. Anyway, the timing that you see on your screen here, those are for when the heavy rain's going to start tapering off a little bit. Still some lightning and thunder, but when the heavy rain's tapering off. 1604, Pat Booker.
Yeah, you can see the wind-driven rain there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely can.
Yep, that's going to be a theme across San Antonio right now.
This is good. Not much shear within this storm. We look at the shear to try to find any areas of rotation. And I mean, I told you that notch earlier, but there's really not much associated with that. But I like to see that TransGuide. That's what it looks like outside. Oh boy, here we are. All right, Mia, I'm going to let you take over for a little bit if you want to recap everybody on what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to go through some reports that we've got here. By the way, we are streaming on our YouTube channel, and we have some folks that are just chiming in the comments here. Potentially some lost power situation in Jourdanton, where we had kind of that batch of strong winds move through out there in Atascosa County. And just a lot of people here in San Antonio saying, yes, it is windy, yes, it is loud, and hearing the rain come down, that is for sure. So yeah, this is the latest that we've got here. Again, with this severe thunderstorm warning, includes portions of Bexar County, northern Atascosa County. But honestly, you can see the strongest part of this storm that Adam was talking about took more of that northward component along with it. That's been a theme also that we've seen with this activity today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lightning off just a little bit because it gets a little hard to see sometimes. But again, we we have very, very heavy rain falling as well. Taking a look at the TransGuide cameras, folks even driving with their hazards on and taking it slow. Since we were just looking at the winds, let's look at the rain rates as well. You can see where we have these purples, Windcrest, Kirby, China Grove, stretching over to downtown. We'll query this. Yep, so that's likely 6, 5 to 7 inch rain rates. And of course, we're not going to see this much rainfall because this is moving. So that's, 5 to 7 inches per hour is the rain rate, but this is moving. But still, we have gotten reports north side of San Antonio picked up a quick 1.5 inches within about 30 to 45 minutes. And even at the airport, I was checking in. And we almost got an inch of rain out there as well, and it is still raining out that way. So yes, needing to watch that too.
And
Adam.
We just got a report of a high water rescue, McCullough and Elmira. That's just down the street from us here at KSAT.
It is.
Elmira and McCullough, high water rescue as a result of the flash flooding and heavy rainfall. And that's a very flood prone area. Bottom line, flood prone areas. Expect and anticipate there to be some high water just off and on throughout the weekend.
Yeah. Absolutely, because we've been messaging this a lot today. We've got these strong storms that are moving through right now, heavy rain rates as we just talked about, quick accumulations too. But with more development already off to our southwest, rain chances continue in spots overnight tonight. I'll switch over the radar site too. Again, yes, we've got strong storms moving through San Antonio, but closer to Del Rio out there, moving into northern Kinney County, stretching up into the hill country near Rock Springs. We still have more energy out there. And so with additional rounds of rain expected into the weekend and even into the beginning of next week, into Monday as well, typical spots that we find some flash flooding issues, of course, construction zones, low-lying areas, poor drainage spots, areas that typically collect water easily. Those definitely need to be monitored as you are heading out and about over the next several days. So that is just something to keep in mind there too. All right, so let's pause this. Let's go back to our velocity. Take a look at the winds here as we were doing a little bit earlier. And where we have these brighter colors, brighter greens near Mitchell Lake, La Soya, just to the south of 410. So here's 410 right here. There's Palo Alto. Here's Loop 1604 on the south side of Bexar County. Somerset's right here. Where we have this brighter green, that's where the stronger winds and the higher winds are being detected. Looking a little bit better than some of the scans that we were looking at earlier, radar estimating. Still though, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible in that particular part of the storm, which is the stronger part that we saw develop out there in Atascosa County with those storms that were able to blossom up. And then that was able to congeal and kind of move into the cell that was already pushing into Bexar County. And so I want to put this in motion too, so that we can get the latest kind of look. Again, it's had more of that northeastward component. Adam was also talking about this a little bit earlier. The initial leading edge of the storm that prompted the first severe thunderstorm warning for San Antonio was moving pretty much due east, but then we had that activity off to the south that's been able to take more of a northward component. So the batch of highest winds you can see here, which it does look like it is improving a little bit over the past couple of scans, that is taking more of a northeasterly component, but for the most part, in a general broader sense, this activity is moving more to the east. Okay. Awesome. Claudia also says, our awesome director in the back says that she has the outage map that we can throw up too whenever you are ready for that.
And I am seeing a few more water rescues being called in.
Okay, so that more water rescues. It looks
yeah, and
like
some of this may just be because of construction sites.
Exactly.
And drainage that's clogged in areas, but that's what becomes an issue in these situations.
Yep, so as Adam was talking about, I mean, bottom line this weekend, just be careful, be aware, be cognizant whenever you are out on the roadways. Remember, if you do come across a roadway that has water running over it, best to turn around and find a different route to get you from point A to point B safely. So yeah, we still have this severe thunderstorm warning in place for portions of Bexar County here. You can see, though, I'm gonna once again pause this and we're gonna zoom in now. So we've got the edge right here. Some gusty winds also associated with this part of the thunderstorm that is now crossing over 1604 on the far east side. So Windcrest, you're still seeing the heavy rain. Kirby, you're seeing the heavy rain there as well. Schertz, this is now moving into your neck of the woods as we speak. So you had a couple of scattered moderate to heavy downpours, but now the leading edge you can see of this heftier activity is moving in from the west. So what I'm going to do, just again in a broader sense, with this eastern edge of the storm here, let's do a little storm track this way, and we'll move it off about there. Okay. Let's take a look at this storm track. As overall, this system moves farther off to the east. Marion at about 2:10, so about 5 to 10 minutes, that's going to be moving into your area. Lavernia in between about 2:10 to 2:15. Seguin closer to 2:30. And then Luling, as this continues to move down the I-10 corridor, this could be moving into your area by or just after the top of the 3 a.m. hour. So we'll monitor that.
And we just pushed out on our KSAT News app, not the weather app, but on the news app, some emergency road closures because they're starting to close the roads out there. And that's something to note if you're venturing out, especially early in the morning, that there's going to be some high water in those typically flood-prone areas or the areas where you get poor drainage. You know your neighborhoods, you know your paths and where you go and where your journey takes you. And if there are those spots that tend to get water, anticipate it and be careful for it. I'm just looking for some new videos and whatnot coming in, seeing any pictures and videos coming in.
Yeah, here's the CPS outage map. Thank you, Claudia, for getting that for us. Looks like total customers affected now up to about 13,000. I mean, you can see that, yes, those numbers have spread eastward. Earlier, they were confined to western Bexar County where those high winds had moved through, and now they're spreading across the San Antonio area as those strong winds and the storm starts to move farther east. So yeah, we're going to keep eyes on that number for you. Of course, we will have the latest through the overnight and really tomorrow morning as well on ksat.com, on air, and of course we'll keep you updated with this on our app, just with additional rain possible through the overnight and even throughout the day tomorrow, especially in the morning. So this is what we've got. Adam, does it look like they were able to expire that warning? Like it. See what the latest is in from the National Weather Service.
Yeah, they canceled the warning.
Okay.
Because the winds were coming down a little bit.
Yep, and that jives with what we were looking at on the velocity scans as well.
Yep. And it's now really just looking for maybe a little bit more development eastward, but also flash flooding and heavy rainfall. And we're going to switch. I'm going to switch this over to our storm pins if you want, or our KSAT Connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a little bit. Give you a bit of a break there. And we can look at Floresville. And I'm assuming we're going to see the sky light up here soon. Floresville, come on, give us the lightning off. It's been to the west of Floresville so far. All right, rain building up in my driveway and walkway, that's for sure. Don't know where exactly this is. Yeah, here's our flash flood warning in effect. That's not surprised with the water rescues we're seeing and whatnot. So if you're just waking up with us right now and you see that there's a flash flood warning, well, it's because of all this heavy rainfall that we're getting in a short period of time. This is southeast Rigsby in 410. Oh boy, Millie. Old Glory there. Flash flood warning till 6 a.m. So if you have to venture out and either go to work or go home from work or get to wherever, Yeah, there could be some high water in areas, even areas you don't expect it, especially with the poor drainage. Southeast side of DC, 1.5 inches in 30 minutes on the north side. Look at that, ground truth. 1.5 in half an hour. Oh, here we got ourselves a security camera.
Oh, wow.
410 Parenvital, 1:30 a.m.
A lot of lightning.
Yeah, a ton of lightning here. I'm gonna pop this full screen if I can. See, wrong one. Sorry, I'm trying to. It's old school style. All right, and then we have that tree limb dead. Okay, anyway, so that's the latest from our wonderful KSAT connectors out there, which includes all of you. Flash flood warning in effect. Some of your phones may have just gone right and buzzed and woke you up, and I know that can be disruptive, and especially when you're not traveling and it's a flash flood warning.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
The primary risk right now is to folks on the roadways and anybody out and about traveling, construction zones, and even areas that get the poor drainage. So sometimes the debris and stuff throughout the days and weeks since a previous gully washer, the debris can really add up, and then it all gets pushed at once into the drain, and that's never a good thing because then that clogs up the drain. But that's what it looks like outside. Our wind threat has diminished again. That's good news. The wind threat has diminished. So the wind threat has dropped off. That's nothing to worry about again. Good news. We like to say good news. That's good news. Wind threat is down, but now we've got our new fresh severe, what's it, 208 or not, right? Flash flood warning that's in effect until 6 a.m. Within this, let's talk rainfall totals so far. We're going to look at our storm totals from this event. And I'm going to get rid of all the other cluttery gunk, okay? Look at this, already 2 inches in a good chunk of San Antonio. West side, southwest side. Let's get right to 90 and 1604. Right there, you've already seen, bam, bam, 2.1, 2.22 inches of rain. Let's come in a little bit closer into town. We're not far from Lackland. Let's go to Ingram Park Mall. Boom, 2.3. Parts of Leon Valley, 2.2 inches. Bottom line, these yellows on the map. And Mia, see if you can find the latest from the airport,
Absolutely.
too. I'm curious. But let's give our radar estimate near the rain gauge at the airport, which I believe is closer to Wetmore here. Our radar estimate is 2 inches. Okay, 2 inches at the airport. And that came in a pretty short amount of time. Then we head northward and we've got this swath of 2 inches of rain throughout Stone Oak, Hollywood Park, Hill Country Village, Chavano Park, not as much. You see this intensity of the rain flared up right here from Camp Bullis eastward towards southeastward towards 1604 and 281. So bottom line, yellows on this map are 2 inches of rain, and even more actually, minimum of 2 inches of rain. Yellow is minimum. Just west of Rio Medina, 2.6. Between Hondo and Castroville, 2.8 inches of rain. That's why we have the flash flood warning, because of all of the rain in a short period of time. 1/2-inch diameter hail, Fair Oaks Ranch, we'll take that. 1/2-inch, non-damaging. That's something we can handle. That's something your shingles can take, no problem. And it's not an issue. No prob there. All right, good news, no warnings. The warnings have been dropped. The wind threat has dropped off significantly as well. Seguin, you're starting to move in. Seguin, Geronimo, starting to see more of these storms that are popping up ahead of the main cluster. Now join in on that cluster, join in on the party from Santa Clara to Zool to Marion, and now over towards Seguin, Geronimo, Auntie Jay and Uncle Mike, get ready, not far away. You've got that gust front, it's about to hit you right now. The first push of wind And then soon thereafter, you'll get the heavy rain and a lot of lightning and thunder, and the dogs are going to go crazy in Geronimo there.
1.24 at the airport.
Okay, 1.24 in the rain gauge at the airport. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the back edge of the heavy rain is now, look at this, on the west side of town. So although we still have the flash flood warning, because it takes a while for that water to recede, it takes hours. So we have the flash flood warning until 4 a.m. At least the rain is starting to taper off for the time being on the far west side of town, western Bexar County. You're just in the light action. This is the back edge of the storm. SeaWorld, Helotes, Gray Forest, down toward 35 and 1604, Somerset area. The heaviest rain is moving out. Whereas Schertz, it's just starting. Cibolo, it's just starting. Garden Ridge, say it with me, it's just starting. Marion, it's about to start. Now in Marion, it's going to get loud soon, but just know you're safe in this situation. We don't have the damaging winds or the damaging hail right now. Could that change? Yes. Is it likely to change? Not so much. I do see some very heavy rainfall and maybe a little bit of small hail near Marion here, but nothing to worry about. It's just going to get really loud in Marion, okay? You'll be fine. Stay inside. We'll talk you through it. We'll get you through it. You'll be A-okay. But we're sticking around because it's 2 a.m. What else do we have to do, right?
Right.
Right. What else do we have to do? So we're here for you, and these can turn severe at any time. So we like to watch that. See how this comes together near Livonia? Remember I was saying watch Wilson County? We're starting to get these little poppers popping up out ahead of it, and see if they could come together over southern Guadalupe County. Watch this area for similar development as to what we saw here just moments ago. It's always a potential. And so we watch that and check it out. I'm gonna go back to our wind detector. Wind detector, where did it go? There we go. Oh yeah, much better situation compared to what we had before. Remember earlier we were looking at this and we had the almost white colored, the really bright greens that turned almost white and blue. And we don't have that anymore. The winds have simmered down within the storm. So that's a positive sign within here. Let's go farther down the line. Campbellton, you're getting hit again with some heavy rain, lightning and thunder. It's moving in right now. And this is moving eastward, well, northeastward. It's just really developing and taking on an odd shape as it gets more development. And then those of you, Hallettsville, there's some showers south of you in and around DeWitt County, Karnes County as well. Bernie, the heaviest rain is moving out. You're almost in the clear of the heaviest rain. You're still gonna see some flashes of light out there for quite a while, it's gonna taper off. So Bernie, you're starting to get it to taper off. Leon Springs, soon your rain will start to taper off very, very soon. Let's give you an estimate for, say, Bulverde. Can't sleep in this? Well, let's see how much longer you have. Bulverde, the heavy rain, you've got until 2:45. So, sorry if it's keeping you up, you got until 2:45 in Bulverde. But the heaviest is right here. Steele High School, Cibolo, Schertz, Selma, North Cliff, Comal, moving into Marion. This purples some of the heaviest rain within these thunderstorms, and even we're getting a few positive lightning strikes too. These yellow ones, those are the positive strikes. Those are the real big boomers that you feel. Those are the ones, those are the lightning strikes that create the really, really roaring thunder that rattles the dishes and glasses in your cabinets. That's the rowdy kind of lightning and thunder. And we're able to monitor. Positive strikes are not as common. They're more rare. So look at the ratio. We've had 200, just within this frame here, about 279 total strikes. 12 of them were positive strikes. And those are the ones that really, those babies hit a tree and they can really split that tree right down the middle. Kind of like a karate chop right down the middle. Split that tree right up. All right, put that baby into motion for you. So if you're just tuning in, checking it out, nothing severe right now. We do have the flash flood warning that's in effect for Bexar County until 2 a.m. And that's because we've already had reports of some high water rescues come in. And in some areas that aren't necessarily low lying, I've noticed like Elmira and McCullough, that's actually an area that's not always prone to high water, but it could be a drainage issue. That's what I'm getting at here. Drainage issue, right? A drainage issue. Drainage issue. Okay, now it's time to look at our rainfall rates. How hard is it coming down and where? Oh yeah, here it is. Remember we're talking about that heaviest part right near your shirts? Here, let's circle it, okay? Give you a little correlation. Bingo. Bango, 7.5 inches per hour. Bongo, 50 decibels. Good, impressive, but not outrageous. But anyway, that's some heavy rainfall with those higher rain rates. Talking 6 to 7 inch per hour rainfall rates. Of course, it's not going to rain for a whole hour at that. You always hear us say that, but that could easily give you 2 inches of rain. Easily, with the amount of time that it's lasting, quick 2 inches of rain. Headed on in as we speak. All right, so I'm going to keep the warnings back up here, turn the lightning counter on for you, as that's sometimes fun to see. Widen out the view a little bit and check out what's happening off to the west, what's happening on the backside of this. Del Rio, you're getting in some garden variety showers and storms, just some good soakers throughout Denton, and then more development around Eagle Pass. That's been the situation. Here's another flash flood warning, by the way. Uvalde to Crystal City. That's an area that could easily have water over the roadways through La Pryor, along 83, all the way down to Carrizo Springs. So anywhere from Uvalde to Carrizo Springs to La Pryor, exercise extra caution on those roadways, okay? Extra caution. But the trend has been to see even more showers and storms popping up, which is one reason why we have the elevated storm chances into Saturday as well, today, I guess. But when you haven't gone to bed, do you really refer to it as today? No.
No, I still think of it as tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, thank you. So anyway, for tomorrow, or Saturday, to be technical. Anyway, this is what's moving through. I like that I don't see parts of it really coming together. Well, don't say that too soon, right? And that's, I'm wrong radar. Duh. All right, so yeah, it's also about to pass over the radar site, so you don't get the best picture of the storm and best measurement and sample of the storm. But boy, it's coming down on our I-37, Pleasanton to Campbellton, and now all coming into Seguin and Geronimo. Canyon Lake, it's a light show, but nothing to worry about. That's the good news. Good light show, just for fun. Let's go 3D on this. What do y'all say, huh? Should we? Just for fun?
Yes.
Yeah, Mia says, yeah, I agree. All right, this isn't going to be as exciting as some of the big supercells and whatnot, but it's still cool to see. And I'm going to lengthen it out even more. Let's do this. All right, now we got some cool stuff. See, these are all pretty low-topped thunderstorms. And of course, as we get near the radar site, it gets cut off, like in a bowl right here. It gets cut off because the radar beam goes out. It doesn't shoot straight up. It's shooting outward. In turn, you get these slices right near where the radar site is. So it's just the way the radar works. And that's why you see these storms cut off right there. They're cut off because of that. So woo, they're chopped off too. But yeah, nothing too outrageous when it comes to the 3D view here, because this is more of a linear storm and system. But within it, probably got a little bit of small hail. Nothing serious, but when you fly through this baby, Santa Clara to New Braunfels, this is suspended within the storm. Suspended within the storm. Probably starting to fall out because these updrafts aren't all that impressive. And once the updraft that breathes into the storm, once the updraft can't support the hail because the hail gets too big, then it falls down. But these updrafts aren't too impressive, so it wouldn't surprise me if in the next scan or two, you see this purple start to come in contact with the ground. Because that, my friends, that would be the small hail. Twist around every way we want. And you see the grids off in the background? That yellow bar is 30,000 feet, that one's 60,000 feet. Of course, you have to get at the proper angle to get a perfect storm top, an echo top. Nonetheless, that's what those mean. So that's our 3D view. It's fun to do a little 3D fly through. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for buckling up. Can now return to moving about the cabin or whatever. All right, so I'm gonna leave the screen up for us a little bit. I just wanna tell everybody who's on air that we have been tracking this live on the KSAT Weather Authority app and on our streaming platforms. Thank you for joining us on air. We're gonna leave this up on the KSAT Weather Authority app so you can have the good view of radar. I'm gonna adjust the view over here. I'll keep the lightning counter turned on, and I'll even move it over so you can maybe see it a little bit better. I'll leave that turned on and the warnings turned on. So if there is a new severe thunderstorm warning, you'll see it outlined in yellow, and then we can hop on again really quickly. But I don't know, Mia, if you have anything else to include right now. All right. So the worst of it's coming to an end in San Antonio. You'll be able to get back to sleep. We've had 2 inches of rain in a good chunk of town. So be careful if you're traveling even early in the morning around sunrise. More showers can be developing as well. But our severe threat is really falling off. That's the key. Rest easy knowing large hail, unlikely. We're not expecting any of that. Severe winds, possible but not probable from here on out. So the worst of it has moved through San Antonio, you're fine. The worst of it's moved through San Antonio, eastern areas, Seguin, Luling, Gonzales, Cuero, Yorktown, Hallettsville, Kennedy, Floresville. You could see some higher gusts, but San Antonio, the worst has moved through. Thanks for joining us. Again, we're gonna keep this on and streaming on the KSAT Weather Authority app and on our digital platforms.